Hello, hello, everyone. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face, my card making space. We are live, unscripted, unfiltered, crafty chaos. What else is new? Um, Everything should be working today.
Looks good here.
Does everything seems to be working? I make no promises. Anyone who's watched regularly, you guys know. And if you're new, welcome to the chaos. And it'll be good. I've got plans. I'm just, I'm still like one trying to recover from Stamptember. That always is a little bit. And then I swear, I've lost like 3 days. I don't even know. I have so much on my plate. It's kind of nuts and things are chaotic. And then I found out today that for those that might remember, my original blog, and I'm not going to cry, but I will probably at some maybe tonight curl up in the fetal position and cry. But my original blog is gone completely. A couple years ago, everything crashed and it was not a fun time. And then I set up my own website, amyr.com, which still needs a ton of work. I've been promising that for over 2 years. I don't have time. But we're going to work on it. But yeah, my old blog with like 20 years of content. And we've been trying in the last year. Like there was we were supposed to be able to download all of it. There was supposed to be a file. Many attempts were made, I think, because mine was like, again, like almost 20 years of content. We're never able to get it to work. And then I found out that at the end of September, not only did TypePad shut it all down, like they wiped like it's gone. I looked today and I was like, it's all my work, all of it, gone. There is no record of it. So that's really disheartening and just a kick in the teeth. And I'm just, like I said, I will curl up and cry about it later. There's not much I can do about it right now, onward and upward, but that just sucks, because I started that blog back in like 2000. Actually, that was more than 20 years. I started it before I had my second kid. That was back in like 2004, I think. Yeah. Long, long, long time ago. So, is what it is. It's just. So, moment of silence for Amy's OG blog. All that content, all of it. I wanted to save it like a diary, That was. I'm heartbroken. Honestly, I am heartbroken. But literally nothing I can do about it. Like, one, thank you, Zon, for the super chat. I very much appreciate it. But this ties into how I always joke about this, but it's not really a joke about like the robot overlords. Like, thumbs up, smash that like button, all those things. One, it legit helps in all aspects, hitting thumbs up on people's videos, leaving comments, engagement is king, all the things. But also just being at the mercy of algorithms and this. I'm living proof of like this is what can happen. Like my 20 years worth of content is gone. So that really sucks, but nothing I can do about it. So we're gonna move on. And I got all kinds of fun things to do. And yeah, like I said, onward and upward. Like, meh, wah. So, yeah. That's all I can say. Did they even have a right to do that? Oh, they owned it.
They do.
They owned the service. They didn't. They kind of gave some people a heads up. I never received an official heads up. It was like someone else talking. Like it was just a weird way that I even heard. And then they set a September 30th deadline, and I was like, worst timing ever. Like, because literally. But I tried. Like in between everything, I was trying all last month to get in to try again and again and again to download everything, and then yeah, they followed through and they wiped it completely. It's gone. Everything's gone. So it really sucks. So it is what it is. You didn't save it on your computer. I could not save 20 years of content on a computer.
It doesn't quite work that way.
It's not that simple. I do have redundancies now that I pay a lot of money for. you know, saving a lot of my content. I pay for my own website now. Like, yeah, there's ways to do this for free. Full on, you know, I talk about this. We'll do our little treatsy. Anyone who wants to like be a content creator or post their things online, there's a lot of ways to do stuff for free. You know, like a lot of social media accounts are free, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. The caveat to that is that you do not own any of that. You know, you are at the mercy of whatever the bigwigs or the like the owners of those platforms want to do. So, and even things like this, what I'm doing right now, like on YouTube. I don't own YouTube. YouTube could just like press a button and zap everything. Like all my videos on there, don't own them, is what it is. But my website, I own and I pay for that. And there are, again, there's like free options, different things, and then cloud storage. And you can do things like external hard drives, save files, all that kind of stuff. We're getting into the weeds with that. I've done it at times, but I have maxed them out, and it gets expensive, you know, to save it. So it is what it is. Dana, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the super chats. So yeah, it's just the joys of doing this as a job. Sometimes, like today or this morning, you know, it's just like a real kick in the teeth, and it really sucks. And yeah, you just want to curl up in the fetal position and be like, where? But the positives outweigh it, so we'll be good. Everything will be good. It'll be fine. It just, yeah, I was kind of like coming into today just being, meh. And then I saw that, and that really just, and I wasn't even going to go live because I was like, I just am not mentally capable. But I got products to use and things and all of it. So, yeah. Anyway, I appreciate all of you, and that's enough of me whining. And yeah, we're going to get into for sure one card, possibly two. Because once I started planning out one, the second one just I was like, we'll see. No promises. I do have one thing to share. Let me see if I can show it. Okay, because I'm going to use stuff from the new Waffle Flower release. This is kind of what I was referring to about like losing 3 days, because I was like, what do you mean? Like Sunday, today's the 5th. Oh, today's the release. I was like, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready. So I did prep work though, like right up until the live, hence me being an hour late today. And with that release, I have all the links and the things below to the release, to what I plan on using, yada, yada, yada. There is also a little promo. This is what, let me see if I can, does this work? Oh, there we go. So I have this linked in the description box below with the info. You can get this, the print happy wafer die, and I'll show this in a second. Orders of $60 or more, and then you use the code. You have to add the die to the cart. I have it linked below, and then you use the code. And if your order is big enough, you get it for free. So I will show. There we go. That's, where did I put it? This one. It's not little. It's a good size. It's a good size. I'm not using it today. I've got like so many unfinished projects started too. So I'm a mess. I'm a mess. But that's the little freebie. So that's always fun. Love little freebies. And then what we're gonna do, once I can get myself, okay, I was like, I don't know, what are we doing? Someone tell me, remind me. This is what I want. Okay. My main focus here, because again, I've got like so much stuff piled up. Don't need that, don't need that. Those are for after. Don't need that or this. Welcome to the chaos. It's nothing if not chaotic. Okay. You're allowed to grieve the loss of the things you were trying to save. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna cry during this live. Happens during many lives, but I haven't even come fully to terms with it. I think when it really hits me, I will curl up and have a good cry over it, because it does really suck. Like 20 years of content, and especially the first however many years of my blog before I really got into doing a lot of videos. Like a lot of that content, is that being gone is what really sucks. you know, because there's no videos, there's nothing. Like it's just vanished into thin air, and it makes me sad, but we'll get over it. I get curious. Does chatting during live streams count as engagement in the Robot Overlord book? Do we know? Honestly, that I have no idea. I value all engagement, regardless. I don't care. You know, the robot overlords and the algorithms and all that crap. While I am forced to play that game, I genuinely don't care. I appreciate all forms of engagement. Because I also, and I mentioned this, I think in the last live I did with you guys, that little bonus one I did on like last Monday, whenever it was. I don't view my audience as a commodity, you know, or just numbers. Y'all are my people. So I value all of it. I always try to like heart everyone's comments. You know, I read them. I try to respond to them. And then the questions and the thumbs up and all of it. I appreciate it. And in my world, it all works. You know, it all just goes towards something. What? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows where it's all going? But I appreciate it. So, anywho, nobody likes a forced declutter. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. You know, so I will look at the positive of losing that blog in the sense of, because it's been a source of stress for me the last 2+ years, 3, I don't even remember how many years it's been since when it first crashed. And we thought at the time that I had lost it all.
Yeah.
And that was all I had. And the meltdowns. It was bad because I couldn't get into it. But in that time, it has just been on my shoulders, like, because I was like, we need to deal with it. And we couldn't. Like I had tried many times to get the file that was supposed to, you know, backlog, and I couldn't do it. So, like I said, onward and upward. We'll be positive. Everything will be good. We'll make it work. Okay. Yeah. So, we will pivot. We will pivot, and we're gonna do some fun stenciling on my all-time favorite cardstock, the Neenah Desert Storm. Oh, my chats are available. Here's a little thing about live streams on YouTube that I know for a fact. When like with my lives, I don't edit them at all. You guys get what you get, you know, in all of its glory, me crying, whatever happens, and I leave it as is. So, and I have it set so that the live chat stays always. If I were to go in and edit it at all, like, because we can go in after the live is over and remove, you know, cut out sections, you know, if I wanted to remove me crying, I could, but I've just never bothered because whatever. So it stays. But if anyone does do that, the minute they splice out anything, it just like nukes the chat. And that's another reason why I don't do it, because it's like what you guys are chatting and everything, I think contributes. So I don't want to get rid of it. So yeah. And that's not you know, and then there's other people that are able to go in and they edit theirs down and they keep the live and then they offer an edited down version, which I love the idea of that. And I put that in my disclaimers always. I don't have the time. You know, someday we'll see. So anyway, doodly-doo. But yeah, anywho, I hope that, makes sense. And then, yeah, okay. I think I've explained it all. So, Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, any good craft cardstock. And then I pulled in with it the new Pumpkin Time wafer die, which is a A2 size wafer die. And I've got a fruit fly that's going to... Why do they always do it when I'm trying to film or do voiceovers? It's like they fly around my nose and it freaks me out because I'm going to inhale one. Anyway, this little wafer die doesn't fully cut. And Waffle Flower has done many dies like this, where it basically cuts most of it and then there's just little connecting parts. So it just gives options because we can use it as is, you know, and we're going to use stencils, whatever. Or you can take your scissors and just snip those little connecting parts, and then you've got individual pieces. You know what I mean? So I ran this through a couple times because I want to do one card for sure with just as is. And then maybe at the bare minimum, I was like, ooh, we'll stencil the second one at the same time because I could use a piece on the inside and maybe do 2 cards. I'm not making any promises because, y'all, my brain is just like, so I did that. And welcome to my lives where I'm like chasing bugs. I'm like a cat.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my mind. Oh, and by the way, the unpaid intern's in the corner.
That's me.
That's my other. Guys, welcome to the chaos. Unpaid interns in the corner to help. You know, he's able to help on the Sundays when I do my bonus lives. He's not, so he's in the corner. And then, and then the little card giveaway, which also disclaimer: Canada Post is on strike because it just doesn't end. It doesn't end. It's just one thing after another. However, we say that Chris is a union member in his real job because you know that's why he's the unpaid intern because I don't pay him. Like you know. But he's a union member. Different union, but he's a union member. We are a union family. We support the union workers, and we hope that they will, you know, get this resolved in their favor. And that, you know, I'll get all the packages I'm waiting on, and then I can mail out the cards. Because I'm starting to get a little pile of cards I need to mail out, and I can't do nothing. That is life right now. So, where he belongs, yeah, in the corner. He's wrapped up in a blankie, literally.
Yep.
If I had a way... I haven't figured that out yet to like have a movable camera, you know, like an iPhone or something. Because otherwise I'd show him. But yeah, he's wrapped up in his blankie because it's starting to get cold in here. Like not too bad, but it's a chilly day today. And it was raining earlier, although now the sky looks blue. So anyhow, chaos. It's all chaos. So we've got our little this does match the stencil because there's the wafer die and then there's the pumpkin time layering stencil set, and I have links again like everything. And then I think they strike during the holidays so they don't have to work. Oh no, they struck during the holidays because that is the busiest time of year to get a message across that the government needed to come to terms. And while they're on strike, they're on the picket lines.
Yep.
Like, I know for a fact every single one of those workers would, one, much rather be working, especially inside, although a lot of workers have to work outside. Two, strike pay doesn't meet workers' pay. Again, I'm married to a union worker. When he had to go on strike, it sucked.
$300 a week is what they would pay us.
$300 a week? Was that what it was? $300 a week. Trust me, when Chris and I moved in together and we got this house and all the things, his union went on strike.
Pretty much.
Almost immediately, within like the first
month.
It was within the first month of us moving in here.
Yep.
So we had like blended our families, moved into this house, had payments coming out of the wazoo, like mortgage, everything, and then his job went on strike and he was on the picket lines. And y'all, that level of stress, so fun. So fun. So, yeah, no, the workers, they just want a fair deal. They deserve it. It's crazy. Okay, can I fit this on this mat? I might need to grab one of my... I'm going to grab one of my bigger mats. Let's do... here's my big mat. Okay. So... Okay. I just got an electric blanket for when I'm crafting. Oh yeah, I've got a little heated blanket that when it really starts getting to be wintertime in here, he uses that during the lives because the corner gets worse. Like I've got a space heater, we have a garage heater, all things. We've talked about it. But yeah, it's only like today's just a little bit chilly, not really.
The first really cold.
Yeah, because it like rained a bit earlier, and yeah, it's just like a smidge chilly. But the weather here is still also really warm, thankfully, because we also have a bunch of like outdoor stuff that we need to deal with, and we're waiting on some workers and fun things. Anyway,
It's still going to get to 25 degrees this week.
25 Celsius, yeah, it's gonna be
So like
It's gonna be warm.
77
Okay.
Fahrenheit or so.
So I've got my stencils, and with these, it has the. Oh yeah, you can see this. Okay. So I've talked about this in a lot of Waffle Flower videos. When it comes to specifically Waffle Flower stencils, not only does it have like it'll have the name of the stencil, the number, etc., Waffle Flower. A lot of times Waffle Flower will have like color ideas. It'll have things like numbers if it's a layering set, like 1, 2, 3, yada yada yada. And then the other ones that are, the postage collage or the whatever they are, will sometimes not only have like color stuff to give ideas and to just make things easier. It'll also have things like this one, it says like stems and leaves. Sometimes it's very obvious. Other times, depending on what it is, it's like, oh, those little notes do here and there are helpful because it's like, what is this little random blob? And it's like, oh, it'll say like that's a stem. I'm like, oh, thank you. I love it. Love it. And do you have to follow it? No. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. But I'm gonna go with oranges because fall, pumpkins, and that's just the color combo. I was just like, we are gonna do these in oranges because we can. So super simple to line up. I'm going to use Concord and 9th inks today. And I'm starting with Clementine. And then I saw something like, what do you call chili? It really depends.
Expensive.
No, it just depends when it comes. She's referring to like temperature when I said like it's getting chilly. Yeah, for inside when it's like chilly, it's getting into like the mid-teens in Celsius. Again, we talking Celsius in Canada. I don't do Fahrenheit. I don't do Fahrenheit, man. So yeah.
By the time it gets to like single digits Celsius, it's pretty cold.
Well, but we get used to it. Like when it starts getting actually chilly here, like starts getting into the single digits. At first, it's like it's so cold. But honestly, everything up until about like minus 20 Celsius is nothing. Like heck, if it's like -5 in the middle of winter, I'm going out in a t-shirt. I don't care. I don't even bother throwing a jacket on. Things like that. But it does get to -40, -50. And again, -40 Celsius is the same in Fahrenheit. -50 Celsius is like -58 Fahrenheit or something like that. It's cold. It's cold. So, yeah, winter is coming. Winter is coming.
It's inevitable.
Yep. You can't get away from it.
Can't fight the weather.
Nope. So, because I'm doing 2, I actually want to do more than one color on all of these, but because I'm doing 2, I'm going to move my stencil. See, already it looks fabulous. Love it. Chili's all relative based on where you are, I think. Oh, 100%. Because people that live in much warmer climates can't fathom, our type of weather. I used to be friends with a couple men, like back in my previous life, basically, that moved here from South Africa. And I remember I felt so bad for them their first winter. They struggled. They struggle. And I just remember the one time I was over there and then I was just wearing my Crocs or something. And she was horrified, like just literally horrified with me. And I was like, dude, it's not that cold. Like they had like full on like mountain climbing gear for, because they weren't used to it. They weren't used to the weather. And that was, goodness, almost like roughly 20 years ago. So I think by now they're very much used to that kind of weather. But yeah. It gets cold here, and it's cold here half the year. It is what it is. So, you get used to it.
Really cherish our summers.
Yeah, truth. Like, summers here are pretty brief, and yeah, winter's like 6 months a year. So, anywho. Okay, so we started with the Clementine, and then I want to go in with a bit of spiced cider, which is darker. And this, I'm just going to kind of work in more just along the edges, you know? Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Everything's going to blend together. You know, these inks do blend and soften and dry back with very little effort, which I personally love because I don't have the time or the patience to, you know, do a perfect blend. So we added that one. And then, yeah, see, and it's subtle. It's subtle, but that's literally what I'm going for. So then we're going to add that back to this one. There we go. And thank you, Kareen. Oh, let me get that. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. There we go. So then same thing. We'll add just a bit of this spice cider. Just like so. It's kind of roughly keeping it to sort of around the edges. But like I said, not worrying about it too much. And I'm going to keep the spice cider. So that's that one. And then for these guys, I'm just going to go a shade darker. Still keeping it pretty simple. Are you using the same brushes for different colors without transferring the ink colors in the font? That's why I started off with the lighter shade. That is literally why I did the lightest shade first and then darkest shade and then worked my way back. So then I'm not taking the darker shade and getting it in there. I'm not too concerned because these are the same types of ink, you know, but that's why. And then when I'm done, because I keep one brush for oranges, one for greens, etc., etc. This is when I wipe it on a microfiber cloth and move on about my day. Because, like we have discussed many times, does Amy wash her brushes? No. Should I? Maybe at some point, because I use mine a lot and they're getting very full of ink, but they still work and I just don't care. So, yeah. But when I want to switch, like in the middle of a project from a dark shade to a light shade, that's when I just take this and I would just scrub it vigorously on a cloth to buff away as much of the darker ink, and it works. It works. Like, I have too many inks, too many brands of too many inks. There is absolutely no way, logistically and financially, that I could have a brush for every color. In a perfect world, that would be one. I would love it. I would love to have a dedicated brush for every color, but I can't even imagine how much that would cost me, let alone where it would store everything, you know? So this has worked. It works. It works. Okay. So right now, everything kind of still looks very samey. Again, I've talked about this. When you are doing ink blending, coloring, anything on something other than white cardstock, especially the craft cardstock of the Desert Storm, everything will look more muted than it does on white. If I did this on white cardstock, everything would be much brighter and vibrant, but I wanted this more muted fall sort of a thing. Plus, we're going to add white splatter later, so that'll just make that pop. So, yeah. Add that into there. The other thing I need to get on is I need to get the re-anchors for the Concord and 9 things. That has been on my to-do list for a while now because I use these inks a lot and I'm starting to notice these ink pads are getting a little dry and I'm like, crap. I need re-anchors. So I did spice cider and then I'm going in with these ones with cayenne, which is significantly darker. So with this, I'm going to be a little more light-handed because this is a very dark shade. And just add that in there. Again, trying to keep it somewhat around the edges, but at the same time, I'm not being super particular. So blend that into there. Just like so. Oh, thank you, Fern. Thank you. I appreciate it. And now you can see a bit more. You know, again, it's subtle, but that's okay. So I'm going to line it up with this guy, and I just keep bouncing back and forth, because then this way I don't have to clean my stencils or, you know, wipe off my brushes or anything. I can just go like so. So we got that. And then I add it to this one. Just like that. Okay, so that was cayenne. So clementine, spice cider, cayenne, and pumpkins. Pumpkins! Okay. And then for the final stencil, this one does both the leaves and the stems. So for these guys, my plan is to switch to my little brushes so that because I'm not going to try and and I'm not going to mask, but I don't like doing it. It bugs me. So I'm going to use my little 1+ shader brushes. So a green one and a brown one. And then because I actually have 2 sets of these brushes, because I purchased a second set because I use them so much, I'm going to take a second brown one and a second green one because I can. Otherwise, I would just have to keep flipping between stencils, do all the light shades, and then do the dark shades. But because this is literally why I do what I do. Do you need to have doubles of everything? No. I use these brushes a lot, so it's like, me. So these are the light shades. Those will be for the dark shades because I'm going to do a couple different shades of green and a couple shades of brown just to be a little extra. Could you do it all with one shade? 100%. 100%. So I need a bigger boat. I need a bigger boat. So we're going to do, just make sure that's the lighter one, I think. No, that one and that one. Those two can be my darker ones. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start with Sprout, which is my lightest shade, and just slapping this on. I am not being super finicky with this guy. We'll just get that on to all of the greenery. Just like so. And dupe. Like that. Hello to everybody tuning in. And apologies for being, I wasn't technically late. I put the disclaimers when I set everything up. But still, later than usual today. I needed that extra hour. I was having just a moment. Okay, so we got that first. Then we'll go in and do the stems. So the stems, we'll start with wheat, which is just light, you know. But this is just going to lay my base down before we go in with a darker shade of brown. And not worrying about anything, really. That's why I like these littler brushes. I've talked about this before with stencils and blending brushes and everything else. That was another reason when stencils were starting to really evolve in card making and having the layers and all the different things. And in the beginning, years ago, I wasn't the biggest fan because you had to do so much masking all the time because we didn't have as many stencils, sets, but also we had, one type of brush or foams or whatever, before all the things that we have now. And I just wasn't a fan because I was like, this is too much work. I'm annoyed. Don't like doing it. And now it's oh, I can just go in like I'm literally doing right now and just be like this. And it works. And I like it. Okay, I need to wheat Sprout. I need to pay a little bit of attention because usually when I get talking, I'm not paying attention, and then I start like sticking the wrong brush in the wrong ink. And again, is it the end of the world? No. But as long as I'm paying enough attention. I have large and small brushes dedicated to oxides only. Same. That is the one thing. Like, does a person need multiples? Does a person need like a brush for every color? Yeah, you know, all those things. No. If you choose to, great, wonderful. The only time I recommend having something separate and dedicated is, yes, a set of brushes for dye inks, which is Concord and Ninth, Simon Positively Saturated, Rainbow Splash, Altenew. The vast majority of stamping inks on the market are just dye-based inks. And then if you have pigment inks, which include Distress Oxide or just pigment inks in general, having either a dedicated set of brushes for those or blending foams. Because with pigments, it can get it's a different beast. I do have a dedicated set of brushes for oxides, which work great, but foams work really well, like blending foams work really, really well with pigments because you're dealing with those pigments. Because the reason I say that is because if I was to take this brush and be swirling it into an oxide ink or like a pigment ink, and then I took this brush that done and went like deet, there is a good chance, not a good, it would happen, the pigments would transfer into this ink pad, and over time it can ruin it. Now, are there people? Thank you for the super chat. There are people that just have one set of brushes and they switch back and forth and they just wipe it on a microfiber cloth and they go on about their day. That's fine. Like, the reason why I say what I say and what I recommend, and the brands themselves recommend this, is just this is best practice. You know, because it would be really bad though, because like you think of a set of ink pads, how much money that is, etc. It would really suck if you did manage to ruin them. Has it happened? I've seen it in a small sense when I wasn't paying attention and I took a pigment brush and stuck it in a dye ink pad and I was like, why does that look funny? And it, but if it happens and you didn't realize it and you see that, there's, just take a paper towel and just like wipe it off. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I say these things so people, you take what works for you, and we're all adults. You can do what you want. It's your supplies, your things, as long as you understand it. And again, there's no crafting police. You're not gonna get fired. But I explain how the thought process and what I recommend or don't recommend or whatever, and then you choose whether or not, because I ain't in charge of nothing. And do what you want. Do what you want, man. Okay, so we got our layers, just this first layer blended. And it looks fine just as is, but we're just going to add that bit of dimension. Oh, thank you, Lydia. You guys are being just really generous today. I very much appreciate it. It's not necessary, but I do very much appreciate it. So thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we did light shades, sprout, wheat, light green, light brown. Looks fine, But now we're going to go in with darker shades just to build up that little, that little extra. So then, okay, so we're going with avocado and nutmeg. So with the avocado, with all of it, I just force a habit, plus that's just what looks best, is I go in at just the base of the leaf and add some of that darker color and just kind of swirl it out, and that's it. And because these inks do smooth out and dry back, I don't have to be super careful, you know, trying super hard with my blend, anything like that. It does it on its own as it dries. And then when I say dry back, all of these inks, these water-based dye inks, specifically the Concord 9th inks, Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks, Altenew Fresh Dye inks, the Rainbow Splash inks. There are others that apply to this. I'm only speaking about the ones I know that I use and have, because I don't have all the inks. Again, don't have a big enough budget for that. But these inks all soften and dry back. So they smooth out as they're drying, and they dry back. So they do lighten a bit as they fully dry. When they're first wet, they're significantly darker. And I say that because on white cardstock, it's not as obvious. Sometimes it is, depending on the shade. But you notice it a lot on darker cardstock. When the ink is first, like it's wet. It looks so dark. And then it softens and it's drying back. And then you'll see it's lighter. And so I say that because sometimes, you know, you'll put a shade on darker cardstock and it looks, you know, fabulous at first. And then when it's fully dry, it's like, that's not what I did, you know? And it's because the ink it softened and it dried back as it fully dried. So when you're aiming for something very specific, a very specific look, you know, or a very specific shade, test it. Just take a scrap, swipe the ink, scribble the marker, whatever it is you're using, and then just let it fully dry. And then you'll be like, oh, I need to go darker, or I should go a little lighter, or whatever, you know? Or be like me and just slap it on and call it a day. Again, I explain all the things, you know, for reasons, and then, yeah, you know? So, and right there. Right now, again, this is going to lighten a bit. Like this darker green, it's going to lighten. The darker brown, this will lighten. But this is a comparison of just one shade of ink and then adding that second darker shade and how it adds so much depth and dimension with very little effort. You know, heck, if I can do it while live, not really paying attention, rambling about ink and all the other stuff, anybody can do this. You know, anybody can do this. It's also why I love card making. You know, we don't need to be, we don't need art degrees or a bajillion years of experience, et cetera, et cetera. It's like we can sit down. If you can run a die through a die cut machine, if you can line up a stencil, if you can swirl a brush, you're golden. You're golden, you know? So, yeah. And the more practice, especially with things that are a little more, not necessarily complicated, but just more effort, it's sort of like coloring, shading, all those things, practice. And like I always say, don't compare your day 1 to somebody's day 7,000. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And that's also why I'm really sad about losing my blog. Because I was like, some of those beginning cards, you know, my little beginner cards and posts and just everything, little baby me. My goodness, I was like 20 years old when I started that blog. Yeah, something like that. I think I was 20. Yeah, I'm in my 40s now. It's just, I was like, just little tiny baby me. Anyway, now we add see, I nearly put that in my green. Wouldn't have been. Let's put the lid on that one. There we go. Now I'll stop doing that. Because that's all part of it too sometimes when you're dealing with like similar, just dark shades. They're not similar. One's a green, one's a brown. But when they're very dark and you're not really like looking, it's like they just, in the corner of your eye, you know, in your peripherals, they all look the same. And that's how I usually end up with a brush, just Frankenbrush, covered in goodness knows how much types of ink. So anywho, there we go. Okay. So, super fun. And it's not as, yeah, with these ones, because these shades aren't like super crazy, you can kind of tell a little bit as they're drawing back, but it's not crazy. So, while I'm rambling, I'm going to quickly clean my stencils off just because I don't have space and they need to be cleaned. So, alcohol. Not for drinking. Don't put the good stuff in your spray bottle. This little dude, this is the Spellbinders. I think it's a Mega Mister. I forget what it's called. It's Mighty Mister. It's got a unit in it that you only have to press it once and it keeps spraying out. This is just like 70% isopropyl alcohol. Rubbing alcohol works too. I only use alcohol on my stencils and on things like my glass work surface. You do not use this on your stamps, on your grip mat, like your photopolymer grip mats, because this is the same material as a clear photopolymer stamp. That's what this stuff is. Do not use alcohol on this. If you've done it in the past, it's not the end of the world. However, if you continue to use alcohol, alcohol will like degrade the photopolymer and it will start to like get goopy over time, and stamps especially, like, you will lose that detail and definition of them. So I only use the alcohols on the stencils, and you can use just water, or soap and water, just gentle soap and water. That will clean off most of these inks regardless. The only reason I use alcohol is it's fast, especially if I'm like batch producing or I'm live, and I don't have a lot of time. It's like doot, 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 because the alcohol cuts through that ink. We're good. It's done. Simple. So I really like this bottle for the alcohol, and I have it labeled like alcohol. When I first got it, I was like, I put water in it because I was going to use it more for, misting my cardstock when I'm running it through with an embossing folder, things like that. And I hated it. I hated this thing because I was like, and it's like spraying water constantly. And I was like, what? I don't like this thing. But I love it for this because I can just press it once, I get that mist and I'm good to go. Because that little spray bottle you guys have seen me use that I picked up at my pharmacy, just the regular one, especially when I was doing my my ink swatches, which I posted that video, a link to it in the description below, just if anyone wants to watch me swatch inks. When I was doing that and cleaning those stencils, that little mister that I was originally using, my fingers started to hurt, and I was like, this is not working. So then I pulled this out, and I was like, oh. And then started using this, and game changer. Love it. Love it. It's wonderful because there we go. So always use in well ventilated areas. Do not snort the, alcohol fumes. Don't drink the alcohol. Keep it away from open flame. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. We are all adults. Use common sense. This stuff is flammable. Okay. There we go. And now people are chatting about your bird. Yeah, don't spray alcohol on your bird. Okay. Oh my goodness. There. Okay, stencils are done. That is done. I can put my little brushes, get those out of the way. So now we've got that. And with one of them, like I said, we can pop the pieces out. Just like, you just find the little connector spots, and there's not very many of them. And then we just snip them. And then this way, so you can use it as this, and that's how I'm going to do with one card. And then you've got extras. Put some vodka in it, you can drink it. Yeah, you guys, if you guys see me, on lives down the road, just mind your business. I was going to say, like, call 911, but you know what? Just if Amy's spraying herself with alcohol, you just mind your business, okay? And those of you that have been watching, you'll just know. Amy's finally lost her mind. Like, just... yeah. Thankfully, I'm not actually... Chris and I talk about this a lot. We always have to ask ourselves, it's like, when was the last time we had a drink with alcohol in it? It's been a long time. Neither of us are big drinkers. Because if we were, honestly, with the amount of stress I'd have one of those construction hats you know, with
Oh, yeah.
the
The preview.
with the that holds alcohol in the straws or whatever. So same thing. If I show up in a live with one of those, you know, with like 2 wine bottles or something, just mind your business. Like you guys will just know. There'll be signs that Amy is just finally fully cracked and lost her mind and can't handle it anymore. But it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Here we go. So yeah, just little snips. And then we've got all of these extra little, or not little, but like die cuts. And they're fabulous. And then you can do whatever you want. So you just snip apart wherever those little connecting spots are. So you've got all those. And then we just got to get in there and go boop with that one. And then this one. Another thing you can do, I'm not going to do it with this set, but Waffle Flower has many similar sets, but like they have one like that's butterflies, florals, but all the things. But you can also, like if you wanted, you can just pop up those little spots and then you could stick little like foam squares underneath as well to build dimension, you know, to add interest. That is another option. Again, I'm not going to do that because what I'm planning on adding like other stuff, but that is something else you could do. How does this stencil compare to the Altenew pumpkin stencil? Just bring them both up on your computer side by side and take a look at them. I have many brands have different pumpkin things. So yeah, they each have their own style and their own look, and both are great. I love both Altenew and Waffle Flower. And yeah, when it's something like a cluster of pumpkins, bring up the different products and just have them side by side on your computer and just take a look and see what appeals to you. And yeah, because options. So I got all those. I got all this. What else do I want to do? I also pulled out let me put this back in its package. Oh, look at me cleaning up, sort of. Not really, but a little bit. Let me stick that in there. And when it's like matchy stuff like this, I keep it all together. This was also in the October release. This is the Cozy Icons die set, which love. We'll be visiting him more, but I only die cut like a couple of the leaves and the little acorns. But there's also a little snail, and then there's a second piece for a shell, and a little envelope. There's a mushroom. Love it. Even a little to-go cup. Like, this is a great set. I love it. But I just took the little leaves and I had die cut them from some green cardstocks, specifically Concord, and I thought Sprout, and this is avocado. So I die cut when I was running other things through. So I just die cut some extras. We'll add a bit of ink to give them a little more dimension. Oh, and then I did the little acorns. Those I just die cut from the scraps of the Desert Storm cardstock, just craft cardstock. Because they'll be great little accoutrement, you know, to this. Possibly. Should be. We'll get there. What am I doing? I don't know. Yeah, we need my green brushes. Let's go like this, and then we'll just slap a little green ink onto these die cuts. And same thing. When you're doing tone on tone, it's kind of the same concept as just, again, darker cardstock that isn't white. But like this is Sprout ink on Sprout cardstock. Right now it looks very dark, but the ink is wet. So this is going to dry back quite a bit, you know? But I'm just laying this down first just to have this sort of layer of ink, and then I'm still going to go in with a darker color. So this just kind of adds the ink to the cardstock, you know, dampens the cardstock a bit. So then the darker shade, when I slap that on, it just enables it to kind of glide on a little bit more. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully. So we'll just throw that on there. And then the benefit to starting with a color of cardstock versus just die cutting from like white is you've already got a base of color. So it's less effort to add the ink, you know? But can you just use white cardstock? Yeah. And I've shown that in a million videos too. I love die cutting leaves from like white cardstock or like watercolor paper, and then just slap an ink on or watercolor or whatever. In fact, today's video or today's live was going to be a completely different project, but still involving leaves. But I had to put that off. That'll be like probably a pre-recorded video down the road because all the products I had picked out in my head are out of stock. So I was like, obviously not meant to be today. So is what it is. Darker green. Okay, so we start with the sprout and then we take the avocado. There we go. And with this, see, and the ink just glides because the cardstock is still wet from the first shade. So I can just literally slap that ink on and not worry about it. There we go. And then you go on to the next one like that. And it's quick and easy. And you really can't go wrong with leaves, regardless of, especially when it's fall themed. You cannot go wrong with leaves because if something decides to turn into like a muddy shade, that works. It's fall. Leaves are starting to turn brown. It is what it is. So don't sweat it. There we go. Added that one. So we got that. Got those guys. Burp. And then these ones. This was the avocado cardstock. So same shade of ink, which will look darker at first. Yep. And then I'll go in with an even darker shade, which will be artichoke. There we go. So we'll add some of that, which isn't going to show up as much at the moment because it's just dark. Like it's just dark. But again, once it dries fully, it'll soften a little bit and dry back a little bit, and we'll be good. We'll be good. There we go. Do. Yep, we're good. And, you know, and then you stick your thumb in your ink pad. That is totally patented professional technique. Follow me for more life-changing ideas. Blah, 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 blah. Wipe that up. Like so. There you go. Okay. And then for the these little acorns, we've got the little tops and little bases. So we'll just use those same two shades of brown. So we got wheat and the nutmeg. And with these little guys, just get that on there. And that, like so. None of this has to be like anything crazy. Just add some ink. It adds depth. So that was the wheat. I guess while I'm at it, I can still stick it on these, even though these I'm basically just going to cover with the darkest shade. Doop, doop. Brush, not thumb. You put your brush in the ink, not your thumb. You know? Whatever. Okay. And then now we go in with the darker shade of brown. So we take that one and we're adding it just to the tops. Like that. Simple. And then whatever's kind of left on my brush, I can add it just a smidge, you know? Just kind of whatever ink is just sitting here. Nothing crazy. I'm crazy enough for everybody. We don't need to add any more crazy. And then take that, wipe off my ink. And then these little dudes, I'm going to adhere the tops to them because otherwise I'll lose them. You know, that's just a given. There we go. So we've got, oh yeah, there's a large one and a small one. So we've got two different sizes. So that's small and a large. Simple. Just got to add some ink or some glue. It helps if your glue is not clogged. Mine always is. There we go.
Your glue is always clogged.
Well, I never put the lid on it. Ever. I am too lazy. There we go. Add a little bit of glue. And then they just go like that. And then you've got a cute little acorn. Like, look at that. It's adorable. There we go. And then the little one. Like that. He gets popped. Like so. Super simple. And like ridiculously cute. There we go. Amy, I don't think you were lazy. Oh, I am very lazy.
Nothing wrong with being lazy.
Mm-hmm. Or efficient. You can call it whatever you want. I just call it lazy and I don't care, you know? Do I work a lot? Yeah. Do I ever stop? Not really, but yeah. Just is what it is. It just is what it is. There we go. So we got our little die cuts and they're just adorbs. So we can just set all that aside because the last little bit of ink blending, I pulled out it's called the overlapping vertical thanks because I'm not fully organized, but you know, so it's just this because there's a couple different ones in this release. There's also happy, but I pulled out the thanks and then I did a video, it was like not last month, I think it was the month before because I think it was the August release, whenever. And Waffle Flower did the overlapping hugs, like same font, same idea. And I don't know, I really like this. So I die cut this from Tide Pool cardstock. And the thing you can do with this one, it's the same concept as like the pumpkins, etc., 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 is they're just barely connected. So you could snip these apart. Like you could die cut this from multiple colors of cardstock or specialty card, whatever you want, you know, and then you could snip them apart and then layer them back up together and have all different colors, which is super fun. I'm not doing that. It's just an idea. And we're just going to use some inks again to build a bit of dimension, you know? So I'm just going to use the same little brushes and we'll go in with, I can't see an acorn without thinking of Sid in Ice Age. I love Ice Age. I love Sid. Sid's an idiot. It is. It's such a good movie. Totally entertaining.
What's the name of the squirrel? The one with the acorn?
I don't know. Did he even have a name? I don't know if he had a name. He's going to Google it. But yeah. Sid is... Scrat? Is that the squirrel's name in... Okay. That's funny. But yeah, Sid's like my spirit animal, really. especially when I'm feeling completely stupid and derpy, which is a lot. Sid. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, I'm just like randomly throwing some ink on here. I ain't too concerned with any of it. It's all gonna look okay. Hopefully. Maybe not. Eh. It works. It works. It'll be fine. We'll all survive. And again, this is all dry back anyway, so we're on tone on tone at the moment with Tide Pool cardstock and Tide Pool ink. Doop. There we go. Just like that. So we can just get that in there. This, again, it just builds like dimension, you know? So we did Tide Pool, and then we'll take a bit of Juniper. And this I'm going in with a little lighter hand because this is a much darker ink. And just getting a bit more of that blend. And then kind of dragging it out whatever's left over on my brush, sort of a thing. And then getting heavy-handed and whatever. It's all gonna be fine. Like that. And like that. Yeah, it just gives it extra dimension. That's all. My spirit animals, hey, hey. Hey, hey is another one of my spirit animals. Yes, we talked about that in one of my recent lives when I was just like, did you know that Alan Tudyk voiced Sunny in iRobot? And then, yes, he did the voice of Hey Hey in Moana, which is just, that is one of my favorite, there's many, but that is one of my favorite behind the scenes clips, is him in the sound booth doing Hey Hey, you know, balking like a chicken, and then he just deadpans to the camera and he's like, I trained at Juilliard. Love it. The dude has got a gift, because the fact that he can give so much personality to a chicken, you know? Some people just have that charisma. And yeah. Another really good movie. I love Moana. It's so good. Haven't even seen the second one. Goodness. Anyway. Okay. There's our bit of, well, extra blending. I wasn't even planning on doing that much, but whatever. Whatever. It's all good. Okay. Wipe this down. Doop, 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 doop. I got ink literally all over me. My fingernails are now green. What else is new? I don't really care. It'll come off with a good dose of hand washing anyway. So, we had this. Oh, yeah. Okay. I need to do the second card front because I am going to do 2 cards like a crazy person. So, for the second card front, I pulled out the Woodgrain die set. I'm going to save this piece. I'm going to actually do it a second time. I didn't have it lined up because I want this to completely cover my card. So let me move this over a smidge. A smidge. That'll work. That'll work. And then that other piece I'll just save for a future project because I'll cut it down. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So we're going to run this one through. My dog's nickname is Doofus. Love it. Love it. The derpiest dogs are the best dogs. All dogs are the best dogs, really. But I do have a soft spot for really derpy, just dogs that you know have maybe one working brain cell. Love them. Love them too. Same with cats. You know, really, any animal that has just one working brain cell and it's obvious, you know, that that one brain cell is just doing everything. I love it. Oh, are you? Yeah, we're gonna get back into Resident Alien because we're on season
We're almost done season 2, I think.
I think we're done. I think we're done season 2. I forget how far into it we got. I think we're past season 2.
Maybe.
I think we're in season 3 or 4 by now. Really enjoy it. It's so it's a weird show. Like in some like sometimes it goes from like being really cringy in some ways, like the dialogue and just the story is like cringe, and then it'll immediately be like so heartfelt and deep and just it's all over the place. But yeah, Alan Tudyk again, he's so good. All the characters, like all the actors, it's a good show. I really like Resident Alien. Okay. So, this one just pierces the fabulous detail. And yes, A Knight's Tale, one of my favorite movies. I have not watched that one in a lot of years. And again, Alan Tudyk, he's in that one, and he's just brilliant. Okay, there's a stencil. I used this in a live stream somewhat recently. I'm pretty sure I'm positive I did. But yeah, there's a coordinating stencil. It goes this way. Okay, there's a coordinating stencil set for this, and you can use either or, just like everything. You could use just the piercing die on its own, the stencil set on its own. Same with the pumpkins. You can use just the die on its own, the stencils on its own. Always love options. Options are wonderful. So with a stencil set like this, where there is a lot of non-connected pieces, this applies to any stencil like stripes, anything where there's a lot of open area, and you know, either you could use pixie spray, you know, a low tack adhesive, spray it on the back, press it down. I hardly ever do that because I just can't be bothered. But depending on what I'm doing, if I was going to use this with, well, even paste, I would just apply it in the direction, you know. But if you find that, you know, it's stuff is getting everywhere, you're not getting crisp detail, then use a low tack. But with ones like this, I just apply my brush, like apply my ink or my paste or whatever in the direction of the stripes. Because in this case, it'll be like do 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 instead of swirling or going so that I'm not moving these pieces, you know. Most of the wider ones are generally, it's always the more narrow ones because there's just not enough surface area. So hopefully that makes sense. Animal voiceover reels for the one brain cell does all animals are so funny. Yeah. Zafrank. Yeah, Zafrank. He does those types of voiceovers, and Chris and I will watch them and like send them to I send them to him when they pop up on my Instagram feed. He's always going on about humdingers, and you know yeah, fun times. So yeah, animal facts presented in a most like an absolutely ridiculous voice with a ridiculous accent, calling everything ridiculous things. Love it. So yeah. And they're always amusing to the unpaid intern. That and those how it's made videos done by whatever dude that does the how it's made videos, but he's just speaking nonsense.
Yeah.
So often I'll overhear him like, you know, watching a video, and the minute I hear it, I'm like, yeah, that's what he's watching. It's some ridiculous how it's made video that is not how it's made, but entertaining nonetheless. And it's always my favorite thing to hear when you hear that some poor teacher somewhere started playing one of those videos for their students, not realizing it's not the actual how it's made. Yeah. Some of them are highly inappropriate, but amusing nonetheless. Anyway, doing the light shade with this one. It does have it, I didn't point it out, but it does say on here too, light medium, just like the other stencils, like giving giving advice that, like everything, you can take it with a grain of salt. You know, you can follow the directions or do whatever you want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Truth. Okay. There we go. So, just simple. Love it. Love it. Love it. And then the second stencil will add the final bit of detail to this background. And it wasn't lined up. It doesn't have to be lined up perfectly. I just want it lined up. That's all that matters. Dude, there you go. Get in your home. There we go. Okay. So then we just go in with the darker shade, which is nutmeg. Okay. Doop doop. And then same thing. Just go in the direction of the stripy bits. And just drag that color across. And especially something like wood grain, you definitely don't need to make, you know, a perfect blend. It just adds to the look of it all, you know? So slap that ink on. Do whatever works. And then we've got another background. Fabulous. Okay. So, would it help to tape the top of the stencil to keep it steady? Sort of. Again, though, I'm talking more about like the center areas where you can't place tape. With some stencils that say you've got a A2 piece or just a smaller piece of cardstock, and imagine this more with like a stripe stencil with lots of pieces. If you have a smaller cardstock or if it's like a 6x6 stencil, whatever, and I've shown that, I'll put tape right up to the edge of the cardstock. That does help because, you know, it's holding down a lot of those pieces. You know, the grip mat does its job. If you don't have a grip mat, just low tack tape. That works too. Totally works. Because, yeah. And then depending on the type of design, sometimes it does help to do the whole, I draw my cloth. To do the whole like pixie spray thing. Again, I don't bother. Sometimes I do. It really depends on the stencil and what I'm trying to achieve. And yeah. Where'd my other cloth go? I've lost. There it is. Okay, we're good. Everything is good. There we go. Yeah, there's still ink on there. There we go. So yeah. And after my whole like treatsy about using like alcohol and stencils, everything, do you need to? No. The other reason too that I like using alcohol on my stencils is my tools don't need to be pristine. That's not what this is about. But with things like stencils, I like to remove like all trace of ink because the next time I go to use it, I might be using like a really light shade of ink or paste or whatever. And so I don't want any of that residue still on my stencil. It helps with that. It helps with that. But yeah, things do not need to be kept pristine at all. Okay. So now we have two backgrounds like that. And then did you see Mary's comment? Her son had a teacher assign a movie about rock climbing the El Capitan in Yosemite. The climbers in the 60s were doing it on acid-free climbing.
That's one way to climb up something, I guess.
I'm sure. Like, yeah. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So anywho. So it's a good maybe learning experience. Like what not to do. I can't even imagine. I also can't imagine free climbing. There's no way. Heck, I don't even think I could ever do like mountain climbing, you know, especially that type of, and when you're you know, harness or not, like any of those sorts of things. I was like, that I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I don't have a problem with heights. The unpaid intern does not like heights at all. But yeah, I just yeah. Every once in a while, I've seen people post videos or whatever of like free climbing, and I'm just like, nope, there is no way. Like my karma's not good enough. My luck, I'm a klutz, etc., etc., etc. I could not even begin to imagine. There's just, you won't catch me free climbing. Nope. Anyway, so I also die cut the vertical thanks from a really dark brown cardstock. My plan was to stick it, like kind of offset it a little bit, just to give, you know, like a shadow layer and a little bit more depth to this die cut, so it stands out a little bit more, because like it looks fine as is, you know, but then adding that little bit, it just gives it that extra, you know. The camera looked like it was on acid. Yeah, my camera, well, you never know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe my camera is on acid. It goes blurry when there's not things on the screen, and then it's trying to focus on my glass mat, and then my camera just freaks out. And fun times. Fun times. So yeah, it happens. As long as my cameras aren't freezing up, knock on wood. It shouldn't really. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Everything's okay. Again, all the crazy things about doing this as a job is you are constantly fighting with tech and software. There we go. Yeah, you just offset it a little bit, and it just gives it that little extra something. Do. It takes me all my time to climb the stairs. Exactly. You know, I will reserve my strength for those sorts of climbing stairs. I ain't gonna go climbing no mountains. I just have no interest in that. Doop. Doop. There we go. So we adhere our sentiments together. I could never climb the fire tower steps. They're turned observation towers. See, that kind of stuff I don't mind. You know, when there's railings and all the things, I don't have a problem with it. It's always in the back of my mind. Again, the unpaid intern, he doesn't like heights. Like if we were ever to go to, you know, the CN Tower, or the Calgary Tower, those sorts of places, I just know not to pressure him to like, let's go up and, you know, on the observation deck. Yeah. I've done it. I've been there, and the whole time like standing on, like, you know, and you're looking down many, many stories. That's just like, yep. Yep. So I get it. I get it. And same with hot air balloons. I was like, I want to go on a hot air balloon ride. That's a nope for him. So
Are you kidding me?
I know, he's just like, that's just insanity. And I'm like, it would be kind of cool. But also, even then, I've never done it. Never done it. I don't know if I ever would either, because again, it's just too many crazy outcomes. So we have, actually, no, I want that one maybe for the inside of this card. So we've got all of that, these like die cuts now, you know? And then we can stick them onto, actually, I like that one for there, like that. We can do maybe this one, no, this one, like that. And then we'll save this one for the inside of this card. And then we've got, do I want to stick this guy? Like that. Save those ones. do a couple little derpers. And then we got our leaves for everything. With that one, that one. We're going to tuck in some. Yeah, see, it's coming together. It's coming together. Love it. So, I want to pop these up with some foam tape. Do I want to adhere these to my card bases first? I kind of do. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. I have card bases that are also Desert Storm cardstock. And then they do not come with a toilet. It's true, hot air balloons don't, you know. Like I would love to someday be able to go to one of those festivals, you know, where they do the hot air balloon festivals and we can watch from the ground. We don't actually have to get in one.
Never.
That would be cool, you know, because like it's always neat because they do hot air balloons in the city, like not too far from us, and it's always neat. Every once in a while, we'll see one in the sky, and it's really cool. But the ones that do the places that do the festivals, you know, and you've got just dozens and dozens of them. That's really neat. Someday. There we go. There we go. Okay, so my card bases, top folding, Desert Storm, cardstock. And then on the insides of my cards, where did I had it. I lost it. It's here somewhere. There it is, underneath my glue. Sentiments. The Grateful Heart Sentiments set. And I want to use, I think I'll use those two on the front maybe. And then I'll put, I really like this one, the Blessed Beyond Words, Thankful Beyond Measure sentiment. I think that's a really, really nice sentiment. So I'm going to put that on the insides of these. So for that, I need, let's do this. And then we will line up the sentiment. And we'll be able to like put the sentiment right side up. Pro tip, you know, not upside down. As usual, been there, done that. Because we did that. Yeah, that'll fit. That'll work. So we'll line him up like that. Boop. So we'll line him up, and then that will just stamp with the dark brown ink. We'll just use the nutmeg ink. Doop. So we'll stamp that. Perfection. Do that with the second card, because there's no point reinventing the wheel and using another stamp. Doop. There we go. And then all the little like die cut bits, I'll just adhere at the end. I'm not worried about that. Just wanted to get the stamping in place before we start adhering everything to the card front. Okay. So put the stamp back in its little package so I don't lose it. Been there, done that. And then we can adhere our little card fronts. Yep, everything's gonna work. And like I said, you could pop up little things with foam squares if you wanted, all that kind of stuff. I am not doing that, but it is another way to just step it up, add extra dimension, etc. But I'm just going to adhere everything flat, just to sort of save time, but also because I'm planning on adhering the sentiment with some foam tape to give it dimension. So, doop, doop. Get a bit of glue on there, and then I can just line you up like so. Perfection. There we go. Yep. So we got that adhered. There we go. Yeah, and then people talking about hot air balloon festivals. Someday. Someday. Okay, so that one's done. And then this one, just kind of like go like that. Doesn't really matter. Do really do. Get those guys. This one. Kind of flatten that out a bit. There we go. Makes it a little easier to deal with. And then I can adhere this guy to the card base. Just like so. And always make sure that the card's not upside down, backwards, whatever. You do it once, you know? You do it once, and then you usually learn to always double check. So we got our card bases. There we go. And then for the sentiments, I want to pop these guys up. So with this one, though, I want to figure out where I'm placing my little pumpkin pieces here. Because we'll adhere those down first, and then we'll pop up. Maybe we'll do it like that. Is that what I want to do? Is this what I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. What are we doing here? Who knows? That works. That works. So we'll adhere these guys down. Like that. I had to glue wrong twice, but everything. Oh yeah, you just. And again, it's usually paper. Like if the couple times I did it in the past where I glued the card front on upside down or backwards, I just cut it off, that card base, you know, peeled off what I could from the back of it, and then it just made a new card base. Because it's one thing if it's just a piece of cardstock, you know, something that didn't take a lot of time, but a lot of times it's, you know, something you've done ink blending, stenciling, yada yada, whatever, or it's a fully finished card base. That sucks. So yeah, I would, if I glued it on wrong, I would have just cut off the card, you know, and then just quickly made up a new card base. And then we would have been good. Everything would have been fine. Doop, doop, doop. So we got that. And then we'll add this little guy. Just like that. So now that we got those, now we can pop up these sentiments with just a little bit of foam type. You know what? I'm gonna use. Oh yeah, I've got Waffle Flower foam strips. I was gonna use Big Mama foam tape. I don't have a link for these right now. I'll have to add that later. This is some of Waffle Flower's 1/16 of an inch foam strips. Convenient. So I'm just gonna pop a little bit of foam tape on the back of the sentiment, because that'll just give it dimension. Just like that. And because the sentiment is so nice and thick and chunky, I don't have to do any sort of crazy finagling. Because I've talked about that many times, that I generally don't have the patience to deal with that kind of stuff. But something like this, super simple. Just like this. Like that. And here we go. Tuck that in. just got to finish off the last little bit. Like that, making sure nothing's peeking out past the edges. That one. And then that one. Yep. So we got that. Dimension. I know it doesn't. It does look like super dimensional, and yet again, one layer. That's what I love. You know, wafer dies that add just detail. You know, piercing detail, cut detail, whatever, and then stencils. Doesn't take a whole lot, and it's a fun way to build the look of dimension without adding layers upon layers of cardstock, foam tape, etc. I don't mind dimension, but I don't add a ton to my cards because once they start getting too thick, you know, too many layers, you start having to pay extra for postage. And I don't mind, again, I don't mind paying extra for postage either because it's like, it's a handmade card. I don't mind sending out and paying a little extra. But when I'm sending out a ton of cards, which I usually am at once, it can suck. Okay. So there we go. So we got that. And then we can pop this one into place just like that. Love it. And then we got to just do the same thing with this one. Just get this foam tape on the back of here. Like so. Oh, well, thank you, Rebel. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I know, right? This color is pretty. I wanted to go with the sort of, you know, tide pool turquoise sort of a shade because it just pops on top of oranges and browns. All of that sort of a thing. There we go. White would also look really nice even to do like a white sentiment because against the darker tones. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's always fun to sort of experiment with color. Right now, like right now, the last few days, whatever, I am very much in a fall mood in terms of color. Like, yeah, the jewel tones, the oranges and the browns, and then the pop, a little pop of turquoise, that sort of thing. I'm here for it. Love it. Love it so much. There we go. And I say it a lot, but it's true. Even doing something like this and then just doing it in unexpected colors. And so instead of doing oranges for the pumpkins, like use pool instead. Do that color. Do them in pink. Do them in purple. Who cares? It's paper. You know, it's fun. And sometimes the unexpected color combos end up being the most interesting, or at least just it's a fun way to mix it up, especially if you do the same thing over and over again after a while, if that makes sense. Yeah, no? Okay. Can you go on my supply list? Go on the supply list. Scroll down to the tags. Yeah. Go to the Waffle Flower one, so that'll be near the bottom. It'll be WF links.
Sorry?
WF links is what it'll say.
Okay.
And then hit enter, like on the blank. Do I have the wider grip mat link there? What's that the very, very last link? What does it say? That one. Add that. He'll put it in the chat. That grip mat that I was using, I didn't have it linked because I wasn't planning on using it today. He'll pop it in the chat and then I'll edit after we're done live. It was a bigger It was a bigger mat. It was like 11 by 7.5, something like that. It's the unpaid intern is doing his job.
Barely.
Just barely. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, I picked off all the backing. Always just double check, make sure everything's in the right orientation, you know? Okay, so we have that. And then I can like tuck in some of these little leaves and whatnot, just here and there, just a few, just to give a little extra. And I with these, I'll do things like chop that off, you know, and then I can take bits of the foam tape as well and just add little um little bits to these pieces so that they are a little more dimensional. So you do that. So you just got foam tape on the ends ish. And then I can take a little bit of liquid glue like that. And then just like tuck that in like that. You know? And then I can kind of do the same sort of thing here. Just take just a smidge. I just need a little boop. I'll stick it right there. And then I can take my liquid glue, which wanted to run away, and just add doop, doop, doop. Don't need much. And then tuck this guy in like that. So we got that one. And then I think I still want to add, I'm planning on heat embossing this, but we're going to do that after we add the splatter because I haven't forgotten. We're still going to add splatter. So I'm probably going to put that there. So I'm just going to leave it there as like a visual so I know where it is. Because then what I could do, oh yeah, that's what I can do. So we'll take our little acorns and we'll just kind of go like that. And then I will stick these with a little blob of the foam tape as well. Boop. Like so. Stick a little bit of glue right there. And then I can pop this guy into place like that. And then that will go over that. So it all makes sense. And then we can add one right there. You can also do wood in other colors or exotic woods that are gorgeous. Oh yeah, you could do like whatever color you wanted. You could do them in purples, oranges, pinks, you know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Can I say this is someone who sometimes does get hung up on like, well, this is how it's supposed to look in nature. Me. But again, we're playing with paper. You know, it's paper and ink and just fun things. And yeah, sometimes all of us just need to get over ourselves. It's true though. It's true. And I say these things because sometimes people come out of the comment section and are like ripping me a new one over the most ridiculous things. And you do you know? Like, if you don't like how I'm doing it, the beauty of it all is you don't have to. And then the extra beauty of it all is if you don't like what I'm doing, or you don't like me, you don't like my voice, whatever, because there's a bunch out there that don't, you don't have to watch either, you know? Which those watching live, most of you, and the few that are, the ones that lurk, that don't, that like to hate watch, you know, the ones that like to hate watch, and then they make it a point to go and like thumbs down every single video, yada yada yada. It's like, again, you do you, but honestly, I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't imagine. There's so much better things to do with your time. So many more productive things and joyful things, and just, you know, if I'm not your person, that's okay. I'm not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. Do. Yeah, like Chris said, there is an exit button, but this also is not an airport, so you do not need to announce your departure. Because I get that one every once in a while too, and it's just like, I am going to unsubscribe now. It's like, thanks you for telling me. I don't care. You know, like, there's something for everyone, and there would be, honestly, and I say this and I mean it. It would be sad if we all did like the same thing and the same exact person, and everyone was the same. That would suck. It would be boring, you know? Like, there would be no creativity. There would be no fun. There would just be nothing. It'd be boring. So, just like in paper, it's variety in styles, variety in people and personalities and all of it. It's the spice of life, man. So I don't get hung up on it. I don't get hung up on the people that don't like me and yada yada yada. It's like, great. There's a bajillion others. You can watch their content and enjoy it, and wonderful. You know, wonderful. You can't imagine watching someone I hate. What a waste of my time. Oh yeah, it is. It's just, and on top, it's just like, and I've talked about this. Like, a lot, all of us really, in one way or another, we all need therapy. We do. Everybody needs therapy. Therapy is wonderful. Therapy for everyone. But yeah, when you focus your time on hate watching and just negativity and all of that stuff, it's like, that's not good for your mental health, man. Like, it's not doing good things for your brain space. Okay, I'm gonna tuck in a couple more leaves and then we're gonna add some splatter. But yeah, and the only reason I speak on these things is I have a lot. You know, there's a fair bit of people that watch that have told me over the years. You know, they want to be a content creator. You know, they want to make their cards and they want to do videos or blog or whatever. You know, or what other forms of art. You know, because that's all part of it too. Maybe some of the people watching have no interest in making cards whatsoever. That's fine. I say all this is, don't take the negativity to heart. You know, whether it's a rude comment or a thumbs down or whatever form the negativity decides to, I should add some liquid glue this, decides to manifest itself as, it has nothing to do with you at all. You ain't doing nothing wrong. You're a great person. You're creative. And some people just can't see it, you know? And now I need my tweezers. Reverse tweezers for the win. There we go. We're just gonna tuck him in there. Because yeah, me, even though, you know, 20 years of content is now gone, I have been online for many years. I just can't prove it anymore. But yeah, it just, especially in the beginning, you know, some of the insane levels of hatred, literal hatred. And in the beginning, it was so much harder. And then I just had to change my mindset and realize that it speaks to more about the person leaving, like taking the time to leave the negativity, to say the negative things. than it does about the person that they're referring to, if that makes sense. Because, yeah, honestly, the easiest thing, it's like, and I see it all the time. There's content that pops up in my feed, not even necessarily card making, but there's content that pops up in my feed that I'm just like, nope, you know, for whatever reason it is, you know, like it's just not for me, or I don't like, or whatever it is. And I just don't engage with it. Because that's the other thing. That's the other thing. And this is me speaking directly to the haters. The more you engage with content you don't like, whether it's me or whatever it is out there on the internet, the more you engage, the more you hate watch it, the more you thumbs it down, the more you leave negative comments, you are directly feeding into the algorithms. And what's the algorithm going to do? It's going to see your engagement, not the specifics. It's just going to see you engaging with all the stuff you hate, and it's going to feed you more of it. That's how the algorithms work. So, you know, if you really don't like me, just don't watch. Because if you keep thumbs down in my stuff and leaving negative comments and all that stuff, the algorithm's just going to feed you more and more of me. You'll never get rid of me. I'm here forever. That's how it works. That's how it works, friends. So, anyway, there's my little random treatsy on that too. But I'm cutting tape. Ah, did I miss something? Oh, I missed it. It scrolled right on. Oh, there it is. Oh, thank you, Shirley. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, and hello to Rome. It always takes so much more energy out of you to hate. It does. It does. And yeah, it's unnecessary. It really is. Like, it's just unnecessary. Okay, so we got that so far. I wanted to quickly go in. We're still going to add splatter, but I want to take my white gel pen and just add more of a intentional sort of highlights here and there. Just cause. But yeah, that is literally how the algorithms work. And not just on YouTube, not just with me, on the internet. That is how the algorithms work. The more you engage with content that you do not like, because again, those robots, they are watching everything. How long you watch a video, whether you click out of it, whether you leave comments, thumbs up, like every little thing. Like, it's, in some ways, it makes me sound like a paranoid, crazy person, but this is how the internet works, man. Those algorithms are watching everything. And the more you engage with something, the more you watch it, interact with it, whatever, it will feed you more of that same content. Like, and that's how people get into echo chambers and rabbit holes, because that can turn into a whole other conversation, which we're not getting into on a card making video. But that's how people get into echo chambers, you know, because they just are engaging with the same stuff over and over again, interacting with the same stuff, and it just can turn into a very awful, especially if you're just being negative, you know, because there's entire communities of that on the internet. And yeah, so I say all that, just one is a sort of a PSA, but two, just to remind people that that's how it works, man. So if you're constantly seeing stuff that you don't like, don't engage with it. You know, and I know with YouTube, you can click on the lower right corner of videos on your feed or whatever and just set it to like not interested in this video. Not in, like, I do that a lot because the algorithms are also testing you constantly. Like, hey, do you like this? You want this? You want some? They're like dealers, literally. Internet engagement and trying to keep people on the platforms, those algorithms are just dealers. They are dealers in content and advertising. They want to sell you stuff. They want to keep you on as long as possible. And the more you engage with the icky stuff or just stuff that you're not into and don't like, well, the more they're going to feed it to you. This also applies to hate. Holding a grudge is like holding a burning coal with the intent of throwing it at someone. It just ends up hurting you more. Truth. That too. Like, when you let it fester, it's not a good place to be. My philosophy is, and I say unlike, because I ain't no saint. I think I've made that very clear. One, I am chaos incarnate, but also I am my personal philosophy is, regardless of what it is, whatever is getting under my skin at the moment, that sort of thing, it's like I vent it, freak out, like bleh, just vomit it out, yell, scream, whatever I got to do, and then I move on about my day. You know, I don't feel a need to leave anonymous comments and go feral on the interwebs. I just generally that's the biggest the biggest job of the unpaid intern. He gets to be my sounding board. Where I'm like, ah, and he just,
I smile and nod.
Yeah, he smiles and nods, lets me have my like flip out over whatever random crap it is that I'm freaking out about. And then he knows. I take a deep breath, and then I go on about my day. And everything is good. You know? Or he goes and gets me a snacky snack. Because more often than not, that's also a contributor to, why I'm feeling like extra irritable over something stupid. It's like I'm just hungry, okay? So he'll bring me a snacky snack and everything's good. It's like crisis averted. Just adding all my little intentional highlights. Doop. Oh, I forgot that guy. He needs one. Doop. I'm gonna do a little bit more there. Good enough. Okay, so got all our little highlighty bits, and then I have so much stuff in the way. This is literally chaotic, but don't want to lose the stamp. We'll get to him in a second. I want to splatter, and then we can heat emboss our sentiments, and then we'll be done. Oh my god. Got to add splatter. And that always, of course, means, And yes, again, I am not a perfect person. I am a human being. I am very emotional. I fly off the handle because I do not regulate my emotions properly. I am well aware of it. Working on it. And then to top it all off, I am petty. The queen of petty. But I try to pick and choose those battles. Anyway. White gouache. Doop. Anonymous comments make me crazy. If you don't want your... Ooh, I missed that. Something popped up. If you don't want your name associated with a post, then don't post it. Actually, I've discussed this. There is no such thing as anonymity on the internet. People think they can be anonymous, and I am not super skilled, but I can generally find a person within a few minutes. Because again, I have had some crazy, like, full-on threats over different things. And yeah, I have literally found people very quickly. They think they're anonymous, and then I am able to narrow down who they are, find their social media profiles, who they work for, all the things. Now, I've never needed to take that further, as in, like, contact someone's place of work. I would only resort to that sort of thing is if it was, like, if someone was, like, actively threatening, like, which sounds crazy with card making, but y'all, it's happened. It's been a lot of years, thankfully. But anyway, there is no such thing as anonymity, and I wish more people would realize that. Okay, white gouache, water, and my little splat brush or my little fan brush, and we'll just add just a bit of splatter, not a ton, you know. But this was also why, and I said this earlier in this long live, why I've got, everything Desert Storm. Like, there is no white cardstock here, and that makes the splatter pop even more. It just gives it that little extra something. Doop, doop, doop. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay. And then my comments. Do, do, do. There we go. Okay. Clean up my brush. Wipe it down. And then, yeah, I am going to add a bit of brown. So for the brown splatter, and I could do multiple things. I could smush my ink pad. I was going to do that originally, but like I was talking about earlier, I don't have the ink refills for my Concord and Ninth ink pads, so I don't really want to like use more ink than I need to. So I just pulled out some ground espresso distress paint. The thing you have to remember with distress paint is it is permanent, which all acrylic paint is. Gouache is not. Gouache is water reactive. So if my gouache dries out or whatever, I can reactivate it. But the paint is permanent. I can mix it a bit here with the gouache. It kind of does a little weird thing, but that's okay. And I say it's permanent as in like when you're done using, if you're using distress paint, any acrylic paint for splatter, just make sure you immediately clean your brush. Because if you leave it sitting in your brush is now done for. It is wrecked. Like it is now a dud. So, gonna add a little bit of brown splatter just cause we can. Boop, boop. Like that. A little bit more. Because there's no moderation with me in splatter. You guys know. Okay. So then... threatening a card maker. Oh yeah, no, it's happened. Again, it's whoop. That's why I gotta be careful. It's been a long time. I will say that. And again, but that's also part of me just... I do this as a job and I spend a ridiculous amount of time monitoring comments and weeding out the nastiness. But I say that it is rare. It is very rare. Especially in specific card making. Like I don't say it lightly when I say it's one of the best communities on the internet because in fact, all other communities have 1,000 times more like trolls and like just insanity, And even in card making, there's those few. There are definitely those few that are just miserable, wanting to cause trouble, stir the pot, whatever, And I always kind of just shake my head because it's like, why are you here? Like, if you seem to hate everything, why are you here? Like, find something you love. But that's also human nature. And yes, I have received threats over the years, but very few and far between, very rare, and it was what it was. So anyway, okay, there we go. So we have the cards. The splatter needs to dry. So while it's drying, this is where I can take my sentiment. In fact, you know what? Let's do both of these. So from the Grateful Heart sentiments. And I need some cardstock to do this, which I had some. Where did it go? I had a piece of brown. There it is. Oh. Is it big enough? Can I fit both on here? Oh, I love when that happens. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. It was fate that I came across you today. I have a tiny channel and I'm being harassed so badly online from 2 other YouTubers. Block them. Full stop. Block them. On YouTube, as a content creator, you can go, what's the easiest way to do it? To make sense, you can on your back end where you get on the YouTube studio page, wherever on the back end, and it's got like everybody's comments. You can block them. Full stop. Block them. If there are people being that ridiculous, block them. I have a insane list of accounts blocked, so their comments do not show up on my videos. Because yes, there are, and I'm sure there are some that are still trying to this day, and magically their comments don't appear because they're blocked. They don't get a notification about it. Block them. This is why, you guys, this is why I I speak on it. They are harassing me in an online forum. Well, whatever forum it is, if you're not able to block them, I just don't engage. Just don't engage. Like, there are some people that are, let me move this, that are just miserable. Just miserable, you know? And my biggest piece of advice, like I said earlier, is one, it has nothing to do with you. And then the other thing is like blocking, like deprive them of oxygen. Deprive the negativity of oxygen. Like, do not engage. Don't, you know. And if you need to, screenshot. Always. Like, I do that too. I've talked about it. I screenshot. Where's my anti-static powder tool? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Like, take screenshots. I have folders of screenshots because, again, some of it gets a little nuts. And for me, the reason I take screenshots is I can't even count the amount of times. Trust, I literally cannot count the amount of times I have had people troll me, say horrible things about me, leave horrible comments, like nasty things, and then turn around and enter my giveaways. And it's like, I recognize the names, and then I go look at the screenshot, and it's like, are you serious? Like, but people will do that. People do that all the time. So I screenshot, and I keep a blacklist. I've talked about this. We have a blacklist. And when I do giveaways, things like that, I always check the blacklist, because I was like, if a winner wins something from me and they are on my blacklist, I ain't sending nothing. They are not winning, because it's like, if you want to engage in that kind of behavior, you will not be rewarded from it on my end. Like, and that is also a reminder to the haters and the trolls. Trust me, brands will do it too. There are certain names in this industry that get to be very well known for being troublemakers and, you know, for threatening and whatever ridiculous insanity they try to pull. And because it's the same ones that enter every single giveaway without fail. And it's like, after a while, people start noticing a pattern, and brands start noticing a pattern, and content creators notice a pattern, and just stop it. There's no need for it. So, yeah. Okay. Anti-static powder. This prevents the embossing powder from clinging to where it doesn't belong. I especially love I use anti-static powder, you guys see all the time with heat embossing, because I have very oily skin. So embossing powder will cling to like fingerprints, that sort of thing. So anti-static powder. I lined up my little clear, my 2 sentiments, and then I'm inking them up with clear embossing ink. And then I'm going to stamp them like so, and then coat them with some white embossing powder. Tap off the excess, repeat with the other one. There we go. Good. Carefully set that down so I don't knock it over. Put the lid on. Okay. And then we have to melt with the heat tool. Yep. Okay. It is melted. And then, Dad always told us if you can't say something nice, say nothing at all. That was the kind of going sentiment for decades now. Because Bambi, and if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I do not agree with that. I used to say the same thing, but my philosophy now, and this one is, I didn't come up with this one. Tim Holtz said this in a video years ago, because even Tim Holtz has received ridiculous amounts of hate. It's some people, but he said it in one of his lives. He was like, if you can't find anything kind to say, find something kind to say. You know, puts the onus on the commenter. Instead of just staying silent, find something nice to say. And if even then, if you're watching something, or you're talking to someone or whatever it is, and you really can't find something positive or kind or uplifting to say, then and walk. Like, it's not that hard. It's not. But yeah. Anyway, after it's been embossed, any sort of heat embossing, and it's especially on dark cardstock. I don't do this all the time because you don't see it on light cardstock, but on dark cardstock, this nice dark brown cardstock, that anti-static powder leaves that cast, and it's not pretty. So just microfiber cloth and a little bit of elbow grease, and I just start buffing it away, because it's just not pretty. Yeah, nerdy girl. There we go. Yes. If you don't have anything nice to say, try harder. You know? It's I'm not saying that as like, oh, you guys must always tell me I'm amazing. There is also a difference between positive critique, you know, course correction, whatever, trying to, because, you know, tone matters. If you see someone saying or doing something either wrong or inappropriate, or specifically in a card making video, and they're doing something that you know to be, there's an easier way or whatever it is, you don't need to come right out the gate and be like, what a stupid idea. You know, approach it kindly. It makes a difference. You know, it just, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of kindness, even in that sort of, like, people that have told me, they're like, oh, the sound was really weird, or, you know, whatever the issue was. And they left a comment and they were just like, hey, love your videos, but I noticed this thing, whatever it was, you know. And it's like, thank you for taking the time to let me know, you know. And on the flip side of that is, the person that you're saying that to, whatever it is, if it's a critique of some sort, yada yada, they will take to it and possibly listen if it's said kindly. If someone's screaming at you in all caps in the comment section, one, I ain't gonna read it. I'm just not, you know. But if you say it with a little bit of kindness, it's like, And I say it as someone when, you know, my hackles are immediately raised. Always. I am combative, you know, and stubborn. Very stubborn. But I can always accept honest, like, critique when it's done positively. Anyway, okay. I need to find the coordinating wafer dies, and I can't remember if I've ever pointed this out, but specifically with Waffle Flower, when there are, with their sentiment sets, here we go, this will show it better. There's numbers. So, like, there's all of these sentiments. I do not like all caps either. All caps online, if a person types in all caps, it is perceived as yelling. I had to deal with that during September because I had people like freaking out because they were using all caps. And then I explained it to them. I was like, when you see something typed in all caps, it in your head, you immediately picture it as someone screaming at you. Like, that just is what it is. That is the internet. Anyway, they're numbered. So this applies to, and I forget how long they've been doing this, but like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah. So it's numbered on the backing sheet. And then, so this is 8 and 9. On the dies themselves, I don't know if, yeah, it is etched. It's really hard to show because these are kind of small, but it's etched onto the back of the dies, the number. So if you don't, have them in order or whatever, another thing you could do, have I done this? No, but I just popped my head out. Another thing you could do is take a Sharpie if you keep it on the packaging like this, and then scribble it next. So 8, 9, whatever, right next to that. So then you wouldn't have to like, which one, you know what I mean? So that works too. But I like those little extras. Is nice. And 9. Love when that happens. Love that for me. So yeah, I like when the brands do the extra thinking so that I don't have to, because my brain is mine. The look you just gave me. Yeah. He's seen it. He's literally seen the smoke coming out of my ears because my brain is just like, rah! So yeah, the less thinking, the better for everyone. My goodness. Yes, exactly, Jinky Dog. Like, I will capitalize some words here and there just to like emphasize a word. Capitalized because we all remember grammar and all the things, yada yada yada, but all caps through the whole paragraph or treaty or whatever thing someone's trying to get a point across is a nope. And again, 99% of people are just not going to read it. Like, when I see somebody freaking out online in a comment section and all I see is just like a wall of all caps, scroll on about my day. I do not care. I am not wasting my time. And that applies to like most people. So it's like if a person really wants to get their point across instead of like screaming it out, there's ways to do it. Okay. Okay. I'll start painting my nails again eventually. I literally have not had the time. And then I was gonna, because I got asked again just a couple months ago, someone had asked during the live, like, what, you haven't painted your nails in forever. And I was going to, and then I snapped like both of my thumbnails, like right in the, like, in a painful spot. And so then I had to like cut these down to little nubbins and then broke off this one during Stamptember, which is, he's still starting to grow back. Like, my nails are just wham, but I'll get back to painting my nails and they'll be beautiful again and whatever. But for now, I'm like, whatever. So we'll get to it. We'll get to it eventually. Sometimes all caps is just to get your attention. Well, it's a poor way to get people's attention because it doesn't work for me. I will ignore it. Again, when it's just one thing, like it's become sort of a thing specifically in card making live streams, because I don't really watch other forms of live streams, but something like if you have a question, to put question in all caps at the beginning of your comment and then ask your question, emphasizing one word with all caps, it helps. That's what we were talking about. But doing the whole thing in caps, I'm not going to read it. I'm not. I'm going to ignore it. But if you have question and then whatever you got to say in regular speak, 100%, But if it's all caps, I'm not going to read it. Like, it's just, and it is, like others have said, it's hard to read. And yeah. So we got our little sentiments. My mom typed in all caps when she first got her computer. She was too lazy to hit the shift keys. Yes, it's true. It's true. I know, and that's why I try to explain to people, because I know for some people, it's just like a habit they built up, and I get it, but I'm just trying to explain, because for those that do it out of habit, like type in all caps, people don't like it, man. Like, it literally looks in any comment section or anything, it just looks like somebody's screaming, and everyone's gonna ignore it. So, if the intentions are good, that's great. It's just other people are gonna see it otherwise. I need to die cut a couple little pieces to bolster up my dudes here, because sentiments just need the extra. I have like paint. I have everything on me. Why are we surprised? And I'm like out of scraps. How did that happen?
Once a million.
Yeah. Like, nope. This'll work. This'll work. I'll just cut a couple. Just cut a couple pieces. It'll be fine. We'll survive. Do. I tried not to cut into my magnetic mat, but I just like, honestly, I love my cutting into my magnetic mat. There we go. Let me get that first. Yeah. For me personally, I prefer cutting into my magnetic mat. I didn't when I first started using my Empress. Because it also was not recommended. Like, you don't cut, you use a magnetic mat, all the things. And for the longest time, I didn't. And then I started seeing more and more makers. And then Anna Griffin herself has said she cuts into the magnetic mat. So I was like, okay, I'll never go back. I love it. I wear these out. I go through the mats, but like cutting plates also, they are a consumable item. They wear out. I use my mats until there's nothing left of them. I find personally that the Anna Griffin magnetic mat lasts longer for me than a cutting plate. And I use both sides. I use both sides. The side, and again, you can see mine are like getting worn out. The side that has the grid on it is more magnetic than the back. It's just the way this weird thing, I don't know. I've noticed it though. It does. So, especially when it's fresh, I save the grid side is where, when I'm lining up my dies over a sentiment, like something where the die needs to be lined up specifically, I will use the grid side, and then I line it up, run it through, we're good. And then when it starts getting really worn out, it starts losing its magnetic ability, and I will still continue using it because I don't care. But when it gets to this point and I start noticing that my die is not really holding in place, that's when I start taping them in place. And then I use the other side for just all my freehand die cutting, like just I'm die cutting backgrounds and pieces and whatever. And again, I keep flipping it until this thing is just like it's stretched out. I don't know how well you can. It's kind of hard to show me, but you can. Mine is stretched out. It's starting to bow out because it's just getting worn out. Because I cut a lot. I do this as a job, so I have backups of magnetic mats because I use them so much. It's nuts, but I love it. It's convenient. I don't know. I haven't switched to clear plate now in a year longer because you just don't need to. They just stay. It's just the magnetic mat that I have to replace. So yeah. It's funny because she did answer a question today that was in all caps. I mean, if you want to keep, I don't understand the point of that. I love the idea of the Empress machine, but unless I move to the other side of the pond, I'll never know if I actually. I love my Empress. For me, it was a game changer. But again, I do a lot of die cutting, like a lot. It's nuts. And for the electric machines I've tried, because the only other ones I've tried are the Gemini machines. there is no comparison between them in my personal experience. And I haven't tried any other electric die cut machines, so I cannot like compare or like comment on that. And then for manual machines, I have the Spellbinders, like Platinum 6. Love it. Amazing. I have several little mini die cut machines. They're all amazing, you know. And then I'm missing a... there he is. I was like, I'm missing my little pumpkins for the inside of the card. Okay. Okay. I'm going to adhere these last little bits. And as I'm doing this, the unpaid intern can pick 2 winners. Because I have 2 cards to mail out, which, like I said in the beginning of the live, all the live stream winners for the last like month and a half up and until the Canada Post strike is resolved, I won't be mailing anything out, but I will continue to add them to the pile to mail out. And then when the time comes, I will be able to mail them out to people. AG Anna Griffin has such quality products. Yeah, like the machine has been awesome. And I will also attest to Anna Griffin, like the brand, being really good because originally I have the mini Empress and I can't show it because it's like underneath a little thingy back in the corner there. But when I first got it, whenever it was, like years ago, the first one I got was a dud. It was so hard to get up here in Canada. I paid a fortune for it, you know, and I unboxed it and I was so excited and it wouldn't turn on. And I was losing my mind because I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, this thing is supposed to be amazing, you know? And I was able to return it, no questions asked. And that's what I started with, was the Empress Mini. Because at the time, especially, that was all I could get my hands on. And it was they're not cheap machines. They're not. And especially, you know, if you're outside of the US, shipping, etc., it's expensive. But yeah, I started with the mini one. I found myself using it all the time, and then I was able to get the big daddy, and I love it. I love it. It just and regardless of the hole, whether you cut into the magnet or the plates or anything, it's sturdy. Then the plates hardly warp at all. I know some say like the plates don't warp. Mine did a bit, but not much. And again, I die cut on like a commercial level. Like I do a lot of die cutting. I do this as a job. So and I use my plates until there's like nothing left of them. So I push it past, you know, when normal people. And I've talked about this. When you find your die cuts, like just across the board, when you find all of your die cuts are getting like fuzzy, you're getting those little die cut hairs all the time, and things are getting fuzzy, and some or delicate dies, like intricate dies, if you find that, you know, the last time you used it, it was fine, it cut fine, and this time it's not. If your plates are like really, really used, you know, the clear plate or the magnet, whatever machine you have, it doesn't matter, that, you know, you've pushed it to the extreme and all you're getting is fuzzy die cuts and things aren't die cutting, that's a sign to change to a new plate, and you'll get better results. And I always say I push it until I get too frustrated. It's like once I'm like sitting here and I'm like removing every little hair and I'm like cursing the entire planet, and, you know, smoke's coming out my ears, and Chris is just like, oh, a snack isn't even going to help this crazy lady, you know? That's when I'm like, it's a sign. Change my plates. And everything's good. Everything's good. Hooray. You know? Yeah. Things like that. But yeah, I will push it to that point, even though I know, like, even my current magnetic plate, it's like I'm at the point I need to replace it. But am I going to right now? No. Because I'm crazy. And that's okay. Add a few little random highlights to this guy too. Here we go. Doop, doop. Just add our little little white gel pen bits. Doesn't have to be perfect. Not worrying about a light source because I never really do because I just don't care. Let's just be honest. Good enough. Got that. We got that. So there's our insides. And then I just need to adhere the two pieces for the little heat embossed sentiment because that'll give it a little extra something. Just like so. Use a lint roller for the, yeah, a lint roller can work. I've also done things like, and I've talked about this, I keep a toothbrush, an unused toothbrush. This has not been in a mouth. Not like it really matters, but you know, I keep a little toothbrush because, and sometimes certain papers will do it too. You know, if your die cuts or your plates aren't like super used up, whatever, and it's a certain die, certain paper, whatever, it happens. Those little die cut hairs that can get really annoying. Is after I'm done die cutting, and I will do this, especially if you're stacking die cuts, like say a sentiment, and I've shown this in other lives too, but I stack all my layers first to give them that strength because, you know, thicker cardstock, whatever. And then I hold it and I take my little toothbrush and I go like that, just along those edges. And that will usually loosen up all those little fuzzies. A lint roller can work. Sometimes I'll wrap like painter's tape around my fingers and you can press it like that. And that'll pick up all those little die cut hairs. So all kinds of little tricks. They all work. And all of it is just, a lot of times, it's just us avoiding the inevitable of changing the die cut plates. I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but I do it all the time. It's ridiculous. But it works. And sometimes just, again, certain cardstocks will sometimes just be like that, like just fuzzy or whatever. So those little things work. So I keep that little toothbrush. It just stays with my tools, with my little pokey tools and all my bone folder, all that kind of stuff. And when I need it, I grab it, give everything a little scrub, and we're good to go. So then, yep. Yeah, low tack tape works really, really well. I just gotta get that lined up. Perfect. So then all I have to do is adhere this. I'm gonna stick a little strip of the foam tape right in there. Just to even everything out. Yep. And I can probably do the same thing with this guy. Stick a little bit there just to give him that little space. Perfection. Love it. Love it. And then I can just get off. There we go. There we go. And I do that. And then we can add our glue. And then I can stick this guy into place. And then while I'm doing this, okay. Side note, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. It ends tonight. I have my glass board. For those that, if you've been thinking about like a glass board, you know, the magnets, all the things, they did a World Card Making Day special, something, whatever. Yeah, I have it listed and linked in the description box below. And if you use my code, it ends tonight, but instead of 15% off, you'd get 20% off. And with Glassboard, and this I would assume only applies to the US and nowhere else. They're also doing like free shipping over $75. I think that's what's going on. I'd meant to do that before we went live, and then I just forgot till just now. But they do deals every once in a while like that on top of the regular discount, which is always super sweet. So if someone had it in their, you know, you're already planning on like getting one, now you know. So, anywho, Anywho, okay, I did that. There we go. And then we have winners. Let me take that off there. Put that magnet there. There are our finished cards amongst all of my yapping. We did 2 cards, not bad. So we've got pumpkins and splatter and a pop of tide pool, you know, and then the inside. Love it. Love it. And then the other one, just cutting apart them little pumpkins and our wood green background, you know, splatter, all the things as always. And then the inside of that one, super cute. Love it. Love it. So not bad. Not bad at all. 2 cards. Let me switch. Oh, and before we get to it, don't forget the little promo. I can do this, right? Yeah, I can do this. Woo! That's the little print happy die. Free gift with purchase, but just you got to remember, and the info is in the description box below, specific because you have to add it to your cart and then use the code, the G2510 or whatever, and you'll get it free. The little print happy die, which is super cool. So love that so much. Let me boop. There we go. Zoom out a little bit. There's our cards. There's my face. And who am I going to send these to once the streak is over?
Today's winners are Lucy from Illinois and Sylvia from North Carolina.
Lucy in Illinois and Sylvia from North Carolina. These will be making their way to you guys when the strike ends, which hopefully will be soon. Hopefully soon. That's I have no idea. I haven't heard any. I don't think there are any updates or anything right now. It's only been a few days really since it started, or a week. Yeah, it's been just over a week, I think, since it's been about a week. Yeah, it's been about a week. But there were the cards. And I appreciate you guys, you know, showing up an hour late with me, because today was just, like I said, today was just a day. Fun. Oh, did the disembodied hand make a appearance? I wasn't paying attention.
No.
Aww.
I made sure to do it when you weren't looking.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks to the disembodied hand for
I'm your thing.
You are thing. You are thing. I have a mess to clean up now. I have a mess. But yeah.
Go eat that lo mein now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I made lo mein yesterday. It was so good. It was so good. We got leftovers. That's going to be my supper tonight is lo mein. Oh, love it. Love it so much. So, 20 pound cat. Oh my goodness. Okay. And yeah, it looks like everything is good. Just scrolling through, just making sure I didn't miss anything in the last little bit. And Halloween version. Oh, they've got a Halloween version of the glass board. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look. I love my glass board. Like this thing is nice. For those that aren't aware, it's glass and then there's metal on the, like, fused to it on the back of this. So this whole thing is magnetic, you know? Again, options. Do you need, is it going to make you a better card maker? No, you don't need one. It's just personal preference. There's a lot of options out there, you know, and there's the Tim Holtz glass media mats in 2 different sizes. There's the big one and then there's a travel size one. And then other brands also have their own sizes and styles of glass mats. The whole appeal, I'm not like my brain's just like, oh, the live's over. The appeal of a glass mat is for me personally, I like the glass surface. I like the glass surface because you guys saw I can do ink blending and then I just wipe, move on about my day. And then I like the magnetic aspect. You know, I've got all my magnets to hold down things. That for me was a big one. You guys don't see me do it all the time because I don't film all of it a lot of times. But what I do a lot, and it's my biggest, is because I have the big magnets, and when I'm adhering, you know, big panels, different things, is I use the magnets like this, you know, to hold down, and then I can move on to the next one because I'm usually making multiples at a time, that sort of thing. And it's like an extra pair of hands, you know, because it's magnetic. And then things like the sentiment you saw, I just stick that, and because it's magnetic. So for things like that. But and then mine is I have a big glass mag because do I have the Tim Holt ones? Of course I've got the Tim Holtz ones, you know. But for those like me, if you're outside of the US, shipping is going to be painful. Just it just is. These are big, they're glass, they're heavy, you know. So it is what it is. For me, it was worth it. But I've had this now for however long, a few years, couple years at least, something, and I loves it. I loves it. But there's lots of options, you know. There's lots of options out there, and I just thought I would mention the whole 20% off that ends tonight. So in my description box, my code and link or whatever, it says 15%, but up until the end of today, it'll actually give you 20% off. So that's always a nice little, it's a nice deal. So, anywho, um, do. Yeah, it's in the bottom of the description box, Jalen. Let me double check, but I'm 99% positive that it's there. Yes. I will copy and paste it into the chat because the unpaid intern is gone. He's done. You know, he gave his disembodied hand wave. There we go. I just posted it in the chat. But it's also in the description box. It's just at the bottom. You just have to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it's got the little finger and all the things and the code and whatever. But yeah, it'll give you that Prairie 15 will give you 20% off. Yeah, that should work. It should work. Doodly doo. My glass board was so well packaged too. Oh yeah, it was. They package it very well. Like when I got mine, I think it was even in the middle of winter. I forget. I remember when it showed up, I was always like, hopefully it shows up in one piece. You know, hopefully it shows up in one piece because it's glass and I've got a big one. Um, but yeah, it's packaged incredibly well. All these sorts of things generally are. Like the Tim Holtz ones are packed super well, you know, because it's glass. So yeah. Um Okay. So yeah, that's it from me. I will do my socials, everything else. If you pay attention to my um Instagram, when I post the images of these cards to my Instagram, there will be a giveaway attached to it. Because I was going to do a separate post. I was going to do a separate post and video today, and again, I ran out of time. Because I have other products from this Waffle Flower release, but I'll use them in the future. It's all good. But yeah, when I post these to my Instagram, which my Instagram is also linked in the description box below the video, I'm easy to find. It's my full name, AmyR on Instagram. There will be a little giveaway attached to that. So, and that will only be on Instagram because that's the easiest way to do that. So we'll be doing that. And then yeah, that is it from me for the moment. I will be back with many videos this week. Yeah. There's several. There's several videos. I have 2 releases I'm taking part of this week. So I'm going to be posting content. There's, you know, video hops and blog hops and all the fun things. So that's coming up this week, right? It's this week. I think it's this week. It is this week. Yep. Yep. So I've got a lot of content coming. I will also have more Halloween videos coming because I got stuff sitting here that hasn't had a chance to be used yet. So Halloween videos and holiday videos and fall themed videos. Trust me, I know. I've had a lot of people, they were like, I want more fall, like fall stuff. And I was like, heck yeah. It's coming. I am technically a one-woman show because the unpaid intern helps on just during my Sunday lives. Circling back to the um, negativity and the insanity, that's why he helps during my lives. Because when I started really jumping into doing the live streams, it was chaos in the beginning. Like some of the trolling like it was insane in the beginning. It was insane. And it was really hard for me to like do all the things. And he volunteered to moderate for me to help weed that out, and over time, like I've said, you block the trolls, you delete the nastiness, all that stuff. And now it's very few and far between. But now he's just part of the show in his own way. And it's great. It's kind of fun to we hang out together and we do these things, and he's become the unpaid intern, and it's great. And I wish, and he wishes too. He helps a lot around the house so I can do this as a job. And he would help more if he could, but he works full time in a real job that helps pay the bills. I can't afford him, sadly. But yeah, we make it work. So I appreciate you guys a ton. Like I do. Y'all are great. And hell yes, I did a Halloween video a couple days ago for my Halloween series. I have more coming. I just I'm struggling with like just constantly running out of time. Like it just doesn't end. It's nuts. But yeah. I'm so glad you have his support. We appreciate. Oh yeah, like he's a good egg. It's he is very appreciated. So yeah, and it's fun. It's kind of nice because I work in here all by myself. 7 days a week. I'm in here working and doing my thing, and it's nice having him in the corner during the Sunday lives. And you obviously have really well behaved kids because they never seem to interrupt your lives. Let's just say we put the fear of God into them. I'm kind of joking, but kind of not. They're all old enough now to know. They get told before we go live, like, unless it's an emergency, because my big thing too, just side note, some of you are very aware of this. I do not share my children online. I know the vast majority of you have the best of intentions and are wonderful people. I acknowledge that. And just genuinely would love to know more about my kids. After my divorce and just there was a lot of things that happened, I made the conscious decision to no longer share my children online. I don't post images of them. I do not talk about them online. I keep it very, very separate. One, again, I've had literal stalkers, issues with former family members, like just a lot of like heavy, not good things. And so for my children's safety and for just their own like mental health and well-being, I don't share them online. Because those that know me in real life that, want updates on my kids or whatever, they can contact me. They don't need to watch my videos and try to like weasel around and try to find things because they're not going to find them on my videos. That's a full just nope, So yeah, when I'm live, I don't want the kids in here because I'm not going to share them with the public because we cannot control. Again, there's people that like to hate watch me and just whatever, and they do not get access to my children. So that is my personal decision. And I know the majority of you get that. I just explain it for those that maybe have not heard me say this or, again, vast, vast majority of y'all are awesome. And yeah, there have been things said like almost like as if I don't love my children, or don't care about them enough or whatever. Like again, when you want to talk about negative comments, I've been there, done that, heard it all. Just because I don't talk about them doesn't mean they aren't my absolute number one focus and priority, and I love them more than life itself. You know, that's also why I work as much as I do. I do it for my kids. So, you know, shocker. Anyway, but yeah, that's why they we set them up with extra snack stuff, and they're old enough now, especially. It was different many years ago when they were tiny, but I wasn't live streaming on the regular back then either. So, anywho, um, do do do. Just scrolling through your guys's. Um, he took his holidays too to help you out with the crazy setting. Yes, yes. Like Chris bends over backwards. He's and I can say all these things because he's not in the room. That's one of the nice things about him. Just like he is autistic. He is. So I say, and he knows. I say this with love, but like the way his brain works, it's like, oh, his job is done. Like he's done. He's up. He does his wave. He's out. He's done. He's moving on to the next thing with his day. But that's one of the nice things is he leaves the room, and then I can say all these things about him, and I don't say mean things because that would defeat the purpose. But yeah, he helps a lot. He banks his vacation time every year, and then he takes a chunk of it off during September so that I'm able to work like a crazy person. It works. We find ways to make all the things work. Um, do do do. And yes, kids do need their privacy. Um, it just I could go on and on and on, and I have in other live streams when we've had those discussions. Just we're starting now to see stories and hear things from a child's perspective or someone who was a child and is now an adult because there's been, you know, really, it's been about 20 years since people really started posting online. You know, you think of all our social media platforms have only been around for a little over 20 years, roughly. You know, so now it's like there's been enough time and people being able to like look back and like a lot of people I know do it, and I say this because it's true. There's a lot of parents out there who do it with the best intentions. They're sharing about their kids to be able to connect with family members that live far away and you know their friends and that kind of stuff. That I don't judge that. I'm not going to judge. It's not my kids, not my problem. You know, I'm not going to judge. But there've been enough. Like my biggest pet peeve, and that one I do judge, is the parents who use their children for content, whether it's family vlogging or you know literally using their children because kids are cute little kids, you know, and people want to tune in for that. Like I could have done that. I could have. You know, my kids were in some of my videos very, very early on when they were really tiny because I literally was working with like a kid in my lap filming, you know, that sort of a thing. I used to do little life updates. I used to show my kids, you know, again, over a decade ago. And then I made the conscious decision that I was like, I don't like this. I don't like where this is going. Da, 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 da. I chose to stop. Um, but yeah, my kids are cute, you know? I totally could capitalize off that and have them sitting next to me and filming videos and all that kind of stuff. I just, for all my own personal reasons, choose not to. Those that do, again, I'm not going to judge, you know, and because a million different reasons, million different scenarios, so many different things. But just this is my choice, and that's where I stand on it. Um, do do do. And yeah, Allison, I don't like content creators who monetize their kids. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I do not. I couldn't. I can't imagine. And try again. We're getting into the weeds again, but it's something because it's something I've literally considered when I got divorced, and I was like single mom, 4 kids, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my like how I was going to pay the bills, all the things. Like I consider it because back then, again, 10 years ago, this was over 10 years ago. At that time, that's when like family vlogging was was big, you know. And so I thought about it. I considered it. I sat with myself and I thought about it because I was like, I could become a family vlogger and just, day in the life with, single mom and 4 kids. Because can you imagine the audience I could have built? It would have been massive. I could have made an insane amount of money. Put all my kids through college and gone to Disney World every 6 months, all that kind of stuff. I thought about it. And then I thought about the ramifications of that and putting my children out there and profiting off of my children. And I just went, nope, nope, nope. There is no way on this planet that I could live with myself. And I don't respect those types of vloggers that did it. And that's what I was alluding to that has started to come out, because there have been some really atrocious cases over recent years, to the point where there's one mother spending time in prison. Rightfully so. She should spend her life in prison for what she did. Um, and they were all like, "Ooh, we're a perfect little family," And that, what you see on camera, what you see online, even in silly little ways. And I say this though to people, like, because I get comparisons. And like I always say with card making, but with life in general, do not compare yourself to someone's highlight reel. You know, when I show a finished card or the technique I'm doing or the coloring or whatever it is, and then people will internalize that and they'll contact me or they'll leave a comment and they're like, I could never be that good, or I could never do this. Da, 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 da. And I remind people, do not compare yourself to my highlight reel. Cause I was like, don't forget that, like, this is live, but don't forget that most of my videos are edited. I can take out the parts where I've spilled something or I've broken something or I'm swearing like a trooper and having a bad day and I need a snack, those sorts of things. It's like, it's not perfect. You see the highlight reel. And it's the same thing with like life stuff. And especially nowadays, because that is just something I think about a lot because we all see it. So and so living the high life, posting all these photos and vacations and perfection and life and and everything's filtered and edited and whatever. And it's a snapshot. Even if it's a full video, a vlog, whatever. It's like that's still only a fraction of an entire day, a week, month, whatever. Don't compare to the highlight reel. And especially with the lifestyle stuff, it's all fake. The vast majority of it, and the vast, vast, vast majority of it is advertising. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't making money. And the vast majority of it is product pushing, 100%. And especially in the whole vlogging, beauty, etc., a lot of those other spaces that don't apply to crafting and everything else, it is product placement and advertising constantly. There's nothing wrong with advertising as long as people are upfront about it, but a lot of it is just hidden under things. The trips were paid for by a brand. The products were sent for free. This, that, and the other thing. And it's like they're living these wonderful lives, doing all these amazing things, and it's like all of it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. So that's my thoughts. uh yeah. 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 I agree with a lot of this. Like, yeah, I remember seeing your kids in videos. Yes, back in the day. And I went through and I've privated all of them, every single one. And if I've missed any, because every once in a while, once in a blue moon, because that's what I did, I went through and I privated every single video that showed my kids in any way, shape, or form. And then if one that I missed and someone ends up commenting, because things pop up in the algorithm, I will immediately private it and I remove it. And I went through I scrubbed my social media, all of it. I spent an insane amount of time just deleting. And some of it's still out there, obviously. It is what it is. And that's fine. I'm okay with it because it's not like I shared anything inappropriate or super personal in that sense. But yeah, I removed all those videos are no longer available. No one can see them because I did them at the time. I was fine with it. I'm still okay with, what I shared back then and what I showed and showing my kids. I was fine with it, but I just do not do it anymore. Cause yeah, just let me quickly scroll through. I used to work with children. I worry very much about children being used to generate money. Yeah. there needs to be way more laws. We're just starting now to see, places, states, countries, wherever, regulatory bodies coming in and starting to address it. The sad thing is they like trying to keep up with technology, trying to keep up with the internet. You're always racing to try and keep up with it. And in so many ways the damage has been done. So yeah, that kind of content that is something I do not engage with at all. Like, I used to enjoy it way back when it was first new, before we were really starting to think about the consequences, because it was fun. It was like getting a peek into other people's lives, and how they were doing this and how their parenting decisions and all the things. Like, it started out, I will say it started out innocently, because it was just new. Everyone had a camera, and the ability to do it. And then it just evolved into the monster that it is now. And now we're starting to see the dark side of it. And it is ugly territory. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So, anyway, back to Cross. Do you think most of the releases for this year are out now? Oh, heck no. We're only in the beginning of October. I've got 2 releases I'm participating in this coming week. I'm sure there's multiple, because again, I only work with like a handful of brands, and there's a whole bunch. There's a lot of fabulous brands out there. That also ties into my, how it would be boring if we all liked the same thing, if we all, and I couldn't imagine, I physically could not be the be all and end all. Would I love to be the most famous and the biggest creator with all the numbers and all the income and all the things? Yeah, in theory. I'd love all the things, but I physically can't do it. 2, like, I don't have the time to do everything, even though there's a lot of brands and styles and things out there that I love. I love. Like, there's a lot of brands out there that I was like, if they came knocking on my door, I'd be like, yes, please, thank you, I will work with you, But also, there's just also a lot of styles that are not mine, that other makers just flourish with and do all the things, There's a lot. We're at the beginning of then, like, specifically holiday themed releases. We'll be seeing more and more through October. There might be a sprinkling in November, but most brands know to like holiday theme, so like Christmas theme, etc. To have it coming out like right in the next little bit, because time, and then there's like winter theme stuff, more just winter theme, that sort of thing, and then we get into Valentine's. So there's stuff going on right up to the end of the year. I don't know what all people have planned. I have little brief insights into like random things. All kinds of good things. Do you need it all? No. Variety is great. Oh, and December. Yeah. Simon Says Stamp December. That's usually a monster release, but that's all like wafer dies, and that's usually like the beginning of December. And that applies though to like all sorts of genres, because it's just die cutting. Loads of fun. Will the postal strike impact you getting new product for your job? Sort of. I already have a few things that are now in limbo. A lot of it, like, because I order a lot of stuff for my job, and just because I want it, I was like, ooh, shiny, I need that stamp set. I'm no better than anybody else. I add to cart, and there's a couple orders that I'm just like, and they're held. They're in limbo. I'll get them eventually. I'm not worried about it. The brands I work with, a lot of them are willing to work around it, and most of them do. They courier things to me because I do this as a job. So FedEx and DHL and whatever. So for the most part, the strike won't negatively impact me. It will in just other ways, but I should still be able to do my job, like the releases and things. I'm not super concerned about that yet, unless something else happens, because there's always something. And yeah, and also for me, it's always a thing because I'm in Canada. So sometimes things, no matter what, just take longer to get to me. And it just means I have a lot less of a runway but that's just my life in general, so I don't worry about it. And then last but not least, because I'm gonna have to go and do all the like editing and stuff. I loved taking your class last year on Altene's Cozy Comfort. Will you be doing any more virtual classes? Maybe. Stay tuned. I can't say anything right now. Nothing's been announced, but there's something. There's something, you know? So, yeah. Stay tuned. That's all I'll say. And like everything, stay tuned, because I got plans. Videos and ideas and things. Just things, you know? All kinds of content. There's just, I can't, I say it all the time, but it's true. I don't have enough hours in the day. Literally, it's like the ideas don't end, the concepts, the amount of stuff I have that I want to make with and share, all of it. There's a lot. There's a lot. Like, I will never run out of content, ever, no matter what, really. So yeah. No. Love the teases. Yeah, I know I'm not one to like tease, but it's, yeah, it's down the road, a ways down the road. Nothing's been announced, and it's not like, it's not something where it's just like, oh my gosh, you know, like, make sure you're subscribed in every way possible because you might miss out. It's the end of the world. You know, it's nothing. It's like, I'm going to be taking part in a online class in the future again. That's it. Nothing's been announced yet because it's not for a while. Because unlike me, a lot of the people in this industry, the brands and the movers and the shapers and all the things, they work very much in advance. I do not. You know, they're planning releases and new ideas and classes and all this stuff. And there's some of them are working like a year in advance or whatever. And not me. You know, if they reach out to me and they're like, we have this planned for XYZ time, like way in the future. And, you know, if they reach out to me, I'm just like, sure. I have no idea what's going to happen. That's too far, but yay. That's how I go through life. So anyway, I appreciate all of you. That is my last little bit. This ended up being long, but we were talking. Talking is good. I'm going to clean up my mess. I'll do my social medias. When I put these cards on my Instagram, there will be a giveaway on Instagram. So stay tuned for that. That'll go up a little later today because I got to take the photos and edit and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, that's it. I appreciate you all. I don't think I have anything else to add. Thumbs up, smash that like button. It does help. It does. It really does. And I appreciate it. And I will be talking to you guys very soon in another video. So have a great night, everybody. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!